Made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Dell's early Black Friday starts now with savings on popular PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
Battle Saturday and the Colts. Ready for football. Steelers Colts. Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Hey, it's Keyshawn Johnson from Keyshawn J. Will and Max. They told us we can give away anything we choose. So we're giving away cash.
You want to talk about money?
We're giving away $10,000 a day. And all you have to do is listen to us for a chance to win.
Your chance to win $2,500 every hour until December 7th with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. It all starts weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
I wonder how the Cincinnati Bengals are going to handle being
I love giving out hot takes. Don't get me wrong. I always love saying things that I know people are going to disagree with. And I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or not here on a Friday. Man, I just got done warming up a lot of leftovers from yesterday's Thanksgiving. And I'm not going to lie to you. Leftover Thanksgiving food slaps way more on the next day than it does on the actual day. You eat on Thanksgiving. You love the food on Thanksgiving Day. But I'm telling you, there's nothing better than warming up that food when you get home the next day. I mean, that was the best lunch I think I've had in a long, long time. I mean, the turkey, the warmed up mashed potatoes with the gravy, and then the stuffing and the green bean casserole. I mean, like all these different kinds of turkey. I didn't know there was so many different kinds of turkey. I'm just grabbing turkey ham, some pumpkin pie. I mean, it was a very unhealthy lunch. Don't get me wrong, but I'm telling you right now, of all the unpopular takes I've had, I will take leftover Thanksgiving Day food over the food on actual Thanksgiving any day of the week. There you go. Changed my mind. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has had a great week. As I sit here today, it's a ghost town in this building. It is absolutely empty. Nobody is here. The bosses have given everyone permission to take off for the rest of the week and the weekend, and I'm like, we can't do that. There's just too much going on. Dayton's in the Bahamas. We're going to talk about their struggles coming up here in just a moment. There's college basketball, Ohio State, Wright State. Everyone's in action, or at least has wrapped up their little non-con holiday tournaments. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Ohio State, Michigan, how could we not have a show today when we got that coming up? Bobby Carpenter, former Ohio State Buckeye, he's going to be joining us coming up just under an hour from now. Top of the hour, 4 o'clock. We'll be chatting with him. We'll talk about his playing days with the Buckeyes and what this week means to him and just some of his thoughts as we head into this matchup where all the trash talk, all of the kind of ribbon back and forth, all of that, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It means absolutely squat. It all comes down to tomorrow at noon kick. I angered a lot of people on Monday talking about why I don't view Ohio State Michigan as the greatest rivalry of all time. I don't really plan on regurgitating a lot of that, but I truly, truly mean it. I don't think it's the greatest rivalry of all time. However, if we had more matchups like this, then I would be on board to say it's the greatest rivalry of all time, because finally, we're talking about a game that actually means something. If Michigan wins, they're going to the Big Ten Championship. They're going to the playoff. If Ohio State wins, they're going to the Big Ten Championship, going to the playoff. Whoever loses, you're not going to the Big Ten Championship. Depending on how you lose, there might be an opportunity to still make the playoff, but nothing's guaranteed. The bottom line is when you are two rivals and you hate one another so much and you have a chance to ruin the other team's season, not beat a team that season's been ruined for a couple of weeks like what this normally is between Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State usually takes on Michigan. Michigan has 2 or 3 losses. They lose another game against Ohio State. Well, it's just another loss against Ohio State, and it's 3rd or 4th loss of the season. They're used to it. Ohio State, they don't like losing. They don't lose often, and they especially don't lose to that team up north, and that's what's setting up tomorrow. Cannot wait. Everything on the line, and we're going to talk about that with Bobby Carpenter coming up around the corner. But that'll be at 4 o'clock. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll chat with him about rivalry weekend because there is no bigger matchup this weekend than Ohio State and Michigan. But there is a matchup that I do think will have an even bigger impact on the college football playoff than that one. Because the outcome of Ohio State-Michigan, there's quite a few outcomes that could lead to both teams still making the playoff. There is one outcome, there is one matchup that it comes down to this team having to win to have a shot. And we're going to talk about what that means because we're going to talk about that with Jason. And that matchup that we're going to be talking about is Notre Dame and USC. I think that obviously the most popular, the biggest matchup of the weekend is Ohio State-Michigan. But I think the biggest matchup of the weekend that'll have the most impact, the biggest impact on the college football playoff is going to be that Notre Dame-USC game. Notre Dame means nothing as far as their chances of making the playoff. They're not a playoff contender, but they have every hope in the world of being able to be responsible for why USC doesn't make it. I'm going to talk about that with Jason Fitz because I think if Notre Dame knocks off USC, that's big time for the Big Ten. It's obviously big for the SEC. But if all of a sudden USC, who gets a big top 25 win last week against UCLA, another top 25 win against Notre Dame coming up tomorrow, and then they go on to win the Pac-12 championship, there's no way you can keep that team out. When their only losses against another top 25, I don't know how you keep that team out. So if you're the Big Ten, you got to be rooting for that team that you beat all the way back in week one, whether you're Ohio State, whether you're Michigan, you got to be big Fighting Irish fans this weekend because win or lose, there's still a good shot both teams make the playoff if Notre Dame wins tomorrow. And we'll talk about that with Jason Fitz coming up around the corner. The Dayton Flyers, they're going to be in action coming up here at 3:30, the tip-off between Dayton and BYU. Dayton and BYU is not the matchup that many Flyers fans anticipated watching at this point to close out the battle for Atlantis. As we currently sit here right now, the battle for Atlantis, Dayton hasn't won a game yet. They went in to the Bahamas at 3-1. They currently sit at 3-3. They cannot find their three-point shot at all. Anthony Grant, I think, has more technicals than the Flyers do points at this point. It has not been pretty. It has been very, very ugly. And we're going to talk about that with Sully from Talking Out Loud. We'll get his thoughts and takeaways from what he has seen from the Flyers, who once again, under Anthony Grant, starting the season a little slow. And we're going to talk about if that's significant or not. We watched this Flyer team lose 3 bye games last year and still come within a game of making the NCAA tournament. The 3 games they've lost thus far, UNLV obviously losing in that first game against Wisconsin in a game that they only scored 42 points, and then losing yesterday against NC State. Better quality losses, if there is such a thing, than the losses they had last year. But if they were able to overcome those bad bye losses from last year, I'm certain they can overcome this. But they have a big one with BYU coming up. And Sully is going to call in early to the show. He joins us on the other side. How concerned should Flyer fans be? We'll find out. Sully joins us next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 53. Tonight's going to be clear and cold, a low near 30. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 55. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Did somebody say flatbreads? If you haven't already, you need to get to Twin Peaks and try out the new in-house made flatbreads, featuring 4 options, including the Hottie Jalapeno Popper, Hawaii 5-0, the Italian, and the OG Pepperoni. Ask your Twin Peaks girl for more details. And don't forget, no one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for the E-Club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/Peaks Club to get started today.
Hi there, I'm your host, Dog, filling in for the human who's normally here and bringing you the smells and sounds of the holidays, courtesy of Beggin' Dog Treats.
We wish you a begging Christmas. We wish you a begging Christmas. Dog rest ye merry Doberman, let begging you acquire. Deck the halls with strips of begging. Arf, 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 arf.
Remember, for bacon-loving dog excitement this holiday,
It's begging! It's Black Friday all week at Staples with huge savings on HP Tech. This week, save $130 on the HP LaserJet Pro 4101 FDWE printer. This laser printer is perfect for small businesses, delivering maximum productivity with blazing fast print speed for up to 10 users. And right now at Staples, save even more when you bundle an HP printer, PC, and monitor. The latest tech solutions are at Staples, the working and learning store. Offer good in-store and online. Ends 11/26.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Everyone can boost their digital confidence with NordVPN. All it takes is one simple click. NordVPN will block online trackers, hide your virtual location, and secure your devices from malware-infected files during downloads. It will also detect malicious websites. So catch the Black Friday deal for a 1 or 2 year plan at NordVPN.com and get 3 months for free. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
If you only wear red and blue and nothing gets you more excited than supporting your Flyers, Flyer Spirit is the place for you. It's easy to show your Flyer pride with our wide selection of great merchandise. Cheer on the Dayton Flyers with style. We're stocked up for the basketball season with your favorite brands, including Antigua, Under Armour, Nike, and Champion. Whether you're shopping down on Brown Street, on campus, or in the arena, our staff and students are ready to help you find all your Flyer gear. Shop online anytime at shop.udayton.edu.
This week at Staples, save 60% on.
Thanks for your business this year.
Save 60% on.
Happy holidays, Nana.
Save 60% on.
You are cordially invited.
Right now at Staples, you can save 60% on custom printed holiday cards and invitations. So you can say, thanks for a great year, happy holidays, or come on over, all for less. For everything you need printed this holiday, go to Staples, the working and learning store. In-store and online. Ends 12/3. Exclusions and restrictions apply.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. 1 device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Give the gift of Cheesecake Factory. Get a $15 bonus card for every $50 gift card purchased at the Cheesecake Factory restaurants or at thecheesecakefactory.com through the end of the year.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
It's a new day because COVID vaccines just got a big update. So all the big stuff coming up this fall, well, now you can say, you bet I'll be there. Because updated COVID vaccines protect against both the original COVID virus and Omicron. And everyone 5 and older can get one. So this is a moment we've all been waiting for.
Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Dayton Flyers basketball fans, get loud every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. with Sully as his popular podcast comes to Dayton's ESPN Radio. Tune in to Talking Out Loud on 1410 ESPN Radio, presented by Timothy's Bar and Grill, Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio and online at wingam.com. We're red, be loud, go Flyers.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, minus Kev Nash today. He joins us coming up. He'll be back with us next week. But wanted to take some time to catch up with our guy Sully. Sully, of course, from Talking Out Loud, which you can catch every Wednesday. And we'll get more of a locked-in day and time for this as we get kind of closer to the non-con portion of the conference portion of the season when it comes to Dayton. But obviously, we're the most popular Dayton Flyers podcast out there. And, you know, Sully, I think you can relate to this a bit as you've gotten deeper into this. You want the Flyers to win, but am I wrong in saying that the numbers kind of pop a little more when there's a little angst and uncomfortability, if that's even a word, when it comes to the Flyers season? You can't deny that there's a pop in the numbers with your podcast right now, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is in this business, right? You get a lot of negativity when people think you're doing stuff for hot takes or you're trying to be, divisive for no reason other than to get people to listen to you. But again, it's kind of like anything else in media. I think when the team's treading water and things are going okay, the numbers stay pretty steady. But the two extremes, the polar opposites of the spectrum, are when the numbers really do spike. And of course, I'm talking about when Flyers are losing and losing a lot, or the Flyers are winning and winning a lot. I think both of those extremes kind of bring people out to talk about the team, right? Because I think people want to be a part of the discussion to get their 2 cents in, again, like when Dayton's doing really well, or like right now, Kinner, when they're really struggling and they need to get back in the win column, right?
Yeah, like I learned early on, the Cincinnati Bengals, a prime example, back when that run with Andy Dalton, where they were making the playoffs like 5 straight years. The Bengals won a lot in the regular season. That's what they did. But the big talking point was it didn't matter about the regular season at a certain point. It was all about the playoffs. So they'd be winning every week, and there was no buzz. There was no excitement. It couldn't really, it couldn't lead a show for a long period of time. But, man, when they start losing, it's funny how that eats up a show. The Buckeyes, same thing. Northwestern. I mean, that literally, we spent an entire 3-hour show on Ohio State's 21-7 win over Northwestern because of all the struggles that they felt with that. But let's talk about Dayton. Battle for Atlantis, of course. They're 0-2 here in this run right now in the Bahamas. Look, this team has shown us in the past that is there a reason to panic right now? No. But at the same time, the struggles, it's the way that they're losing too. I mean, yes, we could sit here and say, well, Malachi Smith, it's been a couple games. He has to get his legs underneath. I'm not even sure if that's what's necessarily wrong with this team. Deron Holmes does not appear to have taken that major step from one season to the next. I think that's a concern. The lack of 3-point shooting is obviously a major concern. And then, there's just so much. And the fact that you're losing games now, you're 3-3. This team had top 25 expectations. The season's not over. But just because there's a chance they could turn it it around doesn't mean that they're immune to being questioned right now. This is a very strange stretch for the Flyers, and we seem to be having this conversation every November and early December. What's your takeaway from what you've seen the first couple of days of this the battle for Atlantis?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to be concerned at this point, only because most of the fan base, I think we can speak for here, is saying going into the year that this team is bringing back a ton of talent. The whole roster comes back. They add Mongolian Mike. There's really no reason to expect this team to take a step back. And like you said, if the issue was one thing, even if the issue was just two very specific things, I think that there wouldn't be as much concern. But what you've seen from Dayton so far is that holistically on offense, they've struggled to score 60 points every single night out. Now, the defense has showed up. Early metrics are already saying that Dayton's a top 20 defensive team in the country. But when you can't score 60 points in a game, it doesn't really matter, right? And in all the losses that Dayton has taken, the other part of it is they're turning the ball over a ton. They turned the ball over 24 times against UNLV. They turned it over 17 times against Wisconsin in that loss. And then last night against NC State, they turned the ball over 18 times. And when you look at that number from the big picture, Dayton's committing unforced errors on 13% of their possessions. I mean, that's just an unacceptable number. And we talked about before, before this recording, that in every season that Anthony Grant has been here, the Flyers have come out of the gate slow. They've struggled out of the gate. And if people even think back to the 2020 year, the great team that we had that year, night one against Indiana State in that season, they struggled. And I think really what the question is now is, why is this team struggling year in, year out under Anthony Grant from the jump? Because the business of non-con is we're going to set up a schedule that Dayton can navigate to get an at-large bid. And last year that got blown up because they lost 3 easy games to start the year. And now this year it got blown up because they wasted one of their opportunities going out to Vegas against a fairly average UNLV team. And now the trip to the Bahamas needs to be salvaged by playing a fairly average BYU team in the last place game. I mean, it just makes you scratch your head. And again, I'll end with saying, if you're one of those fans that said we have a ton of talent and look out for this team and they're only going to get better, you're going to have to answer to the fact that it hasn't gotten better. We haven't jumped out to a good start, and you can't move those goalposts. The blame has to be put on someone. I think some people are very willing to put it on the players, but I think it's been a collective failure from the coaching staff down to the leaders of this team. It hasn't been good enough. And frankly, I'm more willing to put it on the coaching staff because I do not think that the Flyers have been prepared for any of their games this year. And when, on last Saturday, when they struggled to score 60 points against Robert Morris, that's when people started to say, wait a second, what the heck is going on here? And of course, unfortunately, it's manifested itself into 2 very ugly basketball games in the Bahamas.
Yeah. And now to put a positive spin on this, I mean, score 42 points in the game. You're supposed to get blown out. And they lost by 1. So there's a positive spin to that. Yesterday, NC State, they kept going on runs. Give Dayton some credit, I guess. I mean, they kept finding little ways to go on these runs. But again, just that sloppy play of turning the ball over, bad shot selection on top of that too. At a certain point, if you know the 3 ball's not falling, at a certain point, if you're a coach, do you say, hey, stop taking threes. Let's try to find other ways to score. Now, they started that yesterday against NC State. They really focused on really attacking the paint and that type of thing. But, it's the defense, though, is impressive. You talked about the top 20 defense. That's all fine and dandy and all, but you're right. It has to be complicated by even an average offense. This isn't even an average offense, and it's too bad because what they're doing defensively is actually pretty dang impressive. This is a big, long team, and you're watching it even out on the perimeter. They're tough to score against, but, man, they're making other teams look like shutdown defenders, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, and your point's well taken. I think if you need to look for positives right now, yesterday kind of started trending back in the right direction. Against Wisconsin, Mustafa Amzil was 3 for 6 from downtown. The rest of the team was 1 for 21. And so against NC State, you saw a shift, right? Because I think everybody can agree that Dayton's greatest strength is pounding the ball into the paint and getting easy buckets around the rim. And that's precisely what they did against NC State. You know, they only took 11 3-pointers. They were 2 for 11, so they still weren't great. But the point is, they took 42 shots from inside the 3-point arc, and Kamara had 19. Deron Holmes had 17, and both of those guys combined for 23 2-point shots. So at least, you know, the positive is that if the defense is probably going to carry this team, I don't think anybody can argue otherwise, but it is a positive to say 6 guys got legitimate minutes against NC State, and they got back to what we think is going to be their bread and butter this year, was pound it inside and get those easy buckets. And, you know, when you have your 2 big guys combined for 36 of Dayton's 64 points, it definitely feels like you're trending in the right direction. But, you know, close doesn't count in this business. You got to put wins together. And I think this afternoon against BYU, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Is I don't care how it gets done, whether it's ugly, pretty, otherwise, Dayton just has to come out with a win. You can't come home with an 0-3 record in the Bahamas. That is unacceptable. I mean, what we've seen to this point has been a little bit concerning. So I think, to your point earlier, it might not be time to hit the panic button, but if you think fans are concerns are unfounded, I got news for you. They're not unfounded. This team has way too much talent for this to be the result we've seen so far.
Yeah, as cool as it is to have that top 25 ranking coming in, I honestly think that the worst thing that could have happened for this team was that. Because I mean, and you always say you hate the way too early preseason rankings. They've been coming out since what? I mean, we're talking April and May and June and July.
Yeah.
And I saw you mocking them all off season on social media. But whether you mock them or not, or take them serious or not, whether I do or not, the players, you can't tell these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids to look at that and say, hey, don't, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal. I'm not saying that that's the problem, that they bought into it. I mean, good for them. I mean, that's a good feeling to have that kind of recognition. And that's not why they're struggling. But I think what I always talk about things in terms of perception of a fan base, the top 25 preseason ranking and all that stuff, that was a problem for the fan base expectations more so than the team, because the team knows what work they're putting in behind the scenes. They know whether they're going to be okay or not. But we as fans, we expected top 25. This is not even close to top 25. They got a lot of work to do. I want to ask you about Deron Holmes. Sully, by the way, from Talking Out Loud. Sully joins us every week, and I thought today was a perfect day to bring him on. We're about to watch Dayton and BYU. But Deron Holmes, by the way, solid season. He's not playing poorly, but I always bring up that 2020 season because we watched one of the most amazing leaps of improvement from one season to the next with Obi Toppin. Obi had a great first year as a starter with Dayton. He declares for the draft. He goes and gets his grade or whatever you want to call that. He gets evaluated. Everything they told him to work on, he went and worked on, and then he just mastered it. I've never seen a player just improve that much from one season to the next. I think we felt we were going to get that same thing with Deron Holmes. I want to make sure I preface by saying this. He has been fine this year. He's been very good, but he has not taken that major step from one season to the next. I guess if I want to put another positive spin on it, we might get another year of Deron Holmes that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the other part when you go back to expectations, is that everybody expected this team to take that leap forward with the entire roster coming back. And unfortunately for Deron Holmes, he's the guy that came after Obi Toppin. So for better or worse, he's always going to be held up against Obi Toppin for comparison's sake, whether it's fair or not. And frankly, what I've seen so far from Deron Holmes is kind of the guy you saw last year, is that he has the ability to go for 20 points, but he also has the ability to kind of disappear on you if somebody gets physical with him down low. And I don't think that he's really handled that very well here in the early season. And, you look at that UNLV game, he got completely taken out of that game. He took 5 shots. He scored 2 points. Again, against Wisconsin, he took 6 shots. He scored 9 points, and 3 of those are from the free throw line. Again, yesterday they got back to him. He took 11 shots, 17 points, and he was more of a factor down low against NC State because, frankly, him and Kamara play off each other really well. Holmes is offensive-minded, and he's a rim protector. Kamara gets easy buckets around the rim. He misses a lot of bunnies, of course, but Kamara's greatest strength is a rebounder. So they complement each other quite well, but you're absolutely right. I think it's unfair to expect Deron to take the leap that Obi Toppin did because it was something we had never seen before in this program. And frankly, what we've seen from him is kind of the same thing we've seen from last year. And I think that goes back to why people are concerned right now, because when you talk about guys not getting better. And I don't think it's even specific to Duran. I can't really say that one guy on the roster has looked like markedly better than they did last year. And that's a reflection of the coaching staff, which again kind of raises the same concerns we've been talking about today. So again, early season, we only have 6 games under our belt, but I think for this team to be the best version of themselves that they're capable of, Duran has to be a 15-point-a-night scorer. And right now, he's just been a little bit streaky. And I think that the whole key to turning this thing around is getting him involved consistently. But, I mean, you've seen that now the tape is out on Duran Holmes. You know, teams know that Dayton wants to go to him. They know that he's the focal point of the offense. And so every single night, you've seen people get physical with him. You've seen him, like, he's having trouble getting the ball down low. Like, they're denying the entry pass to Duran. And that's because there's film out on him. There's an entire year of film that is out on Duran Holmes now. So you can't expect that he's going to get the same looks that he did last year, because that's one of the parts that's tough about your sophomore year. The film's out and people know how to defend you. And so I'm really looking forward to what this coaching staff does to counteract that, because it's going to be a big part of this season. Is how do you highlight the strengths of Duran Holmes? And frankly, if you are highlighting those strengths, that should open up some things for the guards to get open looks from the outside. Unfortunately for Dayton, those guards just haven't been hitting those shots. And I think that really is the difference between Dayton maybe being 5-1 and unfortunately being 3-3 for where they are right now.
Good 3-point shooting team that's not hitting shots, or is this just a bad 3-point shooting team?
Well, I mean, it'd be impossible to say this is a good 3-point shooting team because, frankly, last year they weren't really a good 3-point shooting team, right? So why would all of a sudden it change? I think towards the end of the year in conference play, they became a better 3-point shooting team. But, you can't dismiss not having Kobe Brea, because he is the best 3-point shooter on this team, and they really haven't had him for any length of time so far. So I guess the answer to that question is this probably will become a better 3-point shooting team. It stands to reason, but a lot of that has to do with how quickly they can get Brea back in the fold to create some spacing on the court, and hopefully that'll turn into some more open looks, right?
Sully from Talking Out Loud, awesome enough to hang out with us here as Dayton gets set to go head-to-head with BYU coming up. And the big question about BYU, will Anthony Grant get a technical?
That was the one thing I was pretty upset with last night was the wheels are falling off, and Grant got his second technical in as many games. Dayton lost by 1. Grant gave up a technical against Wisconsin, and that was worth 2 points. He did it again against NC State, and frankly, I know that a lot of people will sit here and say, well, look at the run that it sparked against Wisconsin. That is nonsense. That is such fan crap that people spew because they want to think that, oh, look what Grant's doing. He's igniting the troops. Be a leader, be an adult. There is absolutely no reason to be getting technicals to be fired up against referees for calls that they've made. I think it's juvenile stuff. I've never been in support of it. If you are, that's great. I can understand where people are coming from, but to get 2 technicals in as many nights, that's just unacceptable. Flat out, it's unacceptable.
All right, I've taken a lot of your time. Appreciate it today. Dayton comes out on top. They get a win to close out. The Bahamas and head home. A little bit more easier stretch coming up, but they need this win today. Do they pick up this win and start to kind of head back home, where they have a couple manageable games coming up, where they can kind of recreate some momentum?
Yeah, I think they do, because BYU is a team that likes to get out and they like to play fast. They like to get transition buckets, and I think Dayton's going to dictate the pace. Like you've already seen, Dayton is not going to get into a track meet with you. They're going to play slow, methodical, half-court offense, and they're going to lock you down on D. And so I think Dayton makes BYU play their style. They come out with a win today, because the other thing is BYU, in the 3 teams that they've played that have been decent, San Diego State, USC, and Butler, they've lost all 3 of those games, and the only wins they have are against teams that, frankly, aren't any good. So I think this is a get-right opportunity for the Flyers. Whether or not it's an ugly game, that's fine. I don't really care. But I think Dayton dictates the pace. They play their style of game, and they probably win an ugly one and come home with the 1-2 record.
Sully talking out loud. Download the podcast. He's the best. Sully, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
Always a pleasure, Kenner. We'll do it again.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Have you heard? $5,000 sign up.
Just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks.
When there's no time to make food for your holiday party, carry out 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $34.99. Give the gift that always fits, a $25 Frickers gift card, and get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. Let them get what they really want.
Black Friday is here at Menards, and we've got the perfect present for your loved ones. Warm up your home with a new Minaqua electric stove with a remote control. Save $60 now and get it for only $69.99. Keep warm with new fleece blankets in a wide assortment of colors and designs. Only $279 each. Hurry into Menards this Black Friday for more great deals. Doors open at 6 a.m. Black Friday.
Save big money at Menards.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
Buckeye football season is back. That means tailgating and parties for the big game. You need the Lee's famous recipe Buckeye Bucket. It comes with 25 pieces of the delicious jumbo breast strips for only $44.99. Of course, you can add a few of their famous country side items, buttermilk biscuits, gallons of fresh brewed Lee's iced tea, or lemonade. You have the perfect recipe for a tailgate or watch party. Cheer on the Buckeyes this weekend with a Buckeye Bucket. Order today.
Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Flyers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Dayton already off to a hot start, a 6-0 lead over BYU here in the early goings. It's their finale of course, the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis Invitational. Justin Kinner back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Again, keep you updated on the Dayton Flyers score throughout the afternoon. I want to talk a little more college basketball here coming off of our conversation with Sully leading into this matchup between the Flyers and BYU. I don't think this is what any Flyers fans expected heading in to the battle for Atlantis. In fact, I know I didn't. Look, we've seen, despite the slow start in the non-con, with a lot of those being home games, their only loss coming against UNLV, I didn't put a whole lot of concern into some of the struggles we've seen early on, because there's something about Anthony Grant teams, at least up until this point, where they'll struggle against, they play down to the level of their opponent. And then when they go face the big boys, when they go face, the Wisconsins of the world, or the Kansases of the world, or the Georgias of the world, then they just literally run them out of the gym. Last year, UD ran Michigan State out of the gym. You know what I mean? They played good teams last year, and then they played up to the level of their opponent, or at least played up to the level of the program. Some of the Michigan States and the Georgias and the teams they've played in years past haven't been elite, but they've played up to the level of those programs, where most times you see a high major program going against UD. You're like, those other teams are supposed to win. That's not always the case. Dayton always seems to play up to the level of their opponent, but their biggest weakness is, one of many, is that they play down to the weakness of their opponent. So I wasn't expecting the struggles we've seen in the first couple of games of the season to really come to fruition in the Bahamas. And that's honestly been the case. They can't shoot. They can't score. We always like to bring up that, or I do at least, I like to bring up that 2020 season, because this team was always going to be compared to that, because the Deron Holmes character is supposed to be the Obi Toppin, where everything is built around him. And I talked about it with Sully. Deron Holmes has not gotten better from last year. Deron Holmes is not that elite player that we were hoping he would be here in 2022. Can he get better? Will he get better? Absolutely. Dayton Flyers up 8-0, by the way. Deron Holmes has 6 of those 8 points, by the way. Want to make sure I'm giving him love while I'm talking about him here. I'm not bad-mouthing Deron Holmes. I just don't think that he has improved to the level of which we expected. Hopefully this hot start that he has, scoring 6 of the first 8 points for the Dayton Flyers, hopefully that continues, because he has to be the star. He has to be the guy. The one advantage that Obi Toppin had that Deron Holmes will not have is that Obi Toppin at least had Jalen Crutcher. When Obi Toppin was getting the vast majority of the defensive attention, Jalen Crutcher would make big play after big play, and they had other guys step up as well. It wasn't just those two, but you see my point. The problem with this team, and something I did not get to with Sully, is they have Deron Holmes, and Deron Holmes is not Obi Toppin. Deron Holmes is really good. He's their best player, but I don't know how dominant Deron Holmes is going to be to lead his team when things aren't going well. It hasn't gone well to start this season. There's still so much more of the season left. It's not like it's the end of the world, not by any means. But as far as this goes, who's that Jalen Crutcher? Is it Kobe Elvis? We've seen glimpses of Elvis take over games, but not really take over games, but we've seen him go on runs. He's one of the few guys that could honestly take guys off the dribble and get into the paint and get some high percentage looks at the bucket. But the problem is no matter how many misses Dayton has, they're shooting 25% from behind the three-point line. They just keep heaving threes. I haven't checked to see what shot selection is like so far here in the early going. Again, 8-0 lead for Dayton over BYU here in the opening moments. I don't know how many three-point shots that they've taken, but for a team that is just so embarrassingly bad at the three-point shot, it just fascinates me how much they just love to fire away from behind the three-point line. And it is frustrating, because the one thing about this team is they are long. They have length. They have size. And I don't feel like they do a good job taking advantage of it. Here's the only problem with this, though. Yes, they have size and they have length. But who's that bruiser of a body? Kamara, I'm a big fan of Toumani Kamara. I love watching him at both ends of the floor. And then sometimes I think their biggest strength is their biggest weakness. Having Kamara and, having Holmes on the floor at the same time, the reason that that's been a problem in the early going is because they haven't had enough explosiveness from the guards. The guards have been weak so far for Dayton. So instead of being able to capitalize on the size of Kamara and Holmes down low, those two are having to carry the load at both ends of the floor because they're not getting consistent efforts from the guards up top. That's the problem. They're not shooting the ball well. They're not taking care of the ball well. They're turning it over. Anthony Grant not doing his best coaching job, or it's not about him not doing his best coaching job. It's just he doesn't have Obi Toppin anymore. Anthony Grant with Obi Toppin versus Anthony Grant without Obi Toppin, it's night and day. I saw Sully tweet out yesterday, watching Anthony Grant without Obi Toppin and watching him with Obi Toppin, it's kind of like the big debate of, was the success because of Belichick or Brady? Was the success because of Anthony Grant or Obi? I think there is so much evidence out there that it's not about, it's no longer about how much of it was Obi, how much of it was AG. It was all Obi. And AG is not a bad basketball coach. I saw Brooks Hall was very upset on social media the other night. He was going at fans left and right, calling fans out who were saying that AG is terrible at his job. I never said Anthony Grant's terrible at his job. I don't think he's terrible, not by any means. But I also don't think he's elite. I also don't think he's doing this team any favors. I think this team has way too much dang talent to be 3-3. Luckily, they're off to this good start against BYU. Hopefully, they can get back above 500. Hopefully, they can take this momentum with the win over BYU and take it back home. They have some winnable games coming up at UD Arena. But I'm not a hater. I'm tired of every time I have an opinion about a team that's struggling that I'm just labeled a hater right away. Y'all can shove it with that stuff. I ain't going to put up with that heading into this weekend. Dayton has underwhelmed, not just themselves, but the fan base. They have underachieved. They're underwhelming. And my God, that is embarrassingly bad. You score 14 points and a half, and I'm a hater. Am I supposed to say you scored 14 points and a half, but great defense? I think I can say that. 14 points and a half, that's embarrassing. Great defense. But we can't even be excited about the defense because that's how people they've been offensively. And don't tell me that it's too early in the season to be panicking. The reason you should panic, and here's why you should panic, because that's what Justin Kinner does. He loves to get people to panic. But here's why you should panic. The non-conference portion of the season for the Dayton Flyers is all predicated around a business format. It is strategically built to get them an at-large bid. I love having the childish debate of why Wright State and UD don't play one another. But, deep down, I do understand why they don't play Wright State. Wright State does not fit into the business model that is the UD scheduling model. I don't knock their scheduling model. Their scheduling model makes sense. It's a model that a lot of top-tier programs out there use. They don't just throw teams on the schedule to throw teams on the schedule. They are very methodical about what they select. They do go out and they buy a lot of home games. They bring in a lot of bad teams to the arena. They'll complement it with, of course, like they brought in Auburn a couple years ago. You'll get your, Mississippi State. You'll get teams like that, right? You'll get your SMUs, Dayton and Neil Sullivan. I'm not knocking them. They do a great job with their non-conference. They build it up every year. They get their tough games on the non-con. They get a lot of these matchups in the battle for Atlantis, or they go over to Maui and they get their Kansases and Michigan States and Georgias and so on and so on. Their non-con is built specifically to get them an at-large bid. So when they do start out slow, don't tell me not to panic. Don't tell me to just sit back and say, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's not fine. You're behind the 8 ball big time if you're Dayton. Your at-large chances are slipping away very, very fast if they haven't already. Their at-large chances are very slim, and here's why. I don't see how this team, they could play a little cleaner. They can stop turning the ball over. I don't know where the three-point shooting is going to come from. That's not just a switch that'll magically be flipped. You're either a good three-point shooting team or you're not, and I don't think they are. And I don't think they have enough depth around Deron Holmes that when Deron Holmes is getting a lot of the defensive attention, that they're going to have guys that could step up and carry. They don't have that Jalen Crutcher. When Obi Toppin got all the defensive attention, when every team collapsed down on Obi or just sent extra pressure, or they overloaded one side to take away lanes from Obi, or made sure that he didn't, by the way, as much as they attempted to take the lob away from Obi, it's amazing how many times he still got it anyways. But that was because of Jalen Crutcher. There is no Jalen Crutcher on this team. I was told when Brea was playing, by the way, they're struggling because they don't have Malachi. Now they get Malachi. Now they don't have Brea. That's why. If you think Brea's three-point shot is the difference between what we just saw this weekend and winning, I don't know what to tell you. This team has too many holes, and Anthony Grant has to stop doing this thing where he goes and gets technicals every time his team starts to lose control of a game. You shouldn't have to get a technical to motivate your guys. Your guys should be motivated enough to go out there and make runs on their own. But this has been a very bad start to the season. A 10-0 start for Dayton over BYU. In the midst of me going on and on about this, but this rant is not about what's happening now with BYU. This is a good response. Dayton, everything that we've talked about right now. 10 points in 6 minutes, not terrible. The fact that they've shut out BYU in 6 minutes, good for them. But this team has a lot to improve on. But I just get tired of every time people are critical of this team, it's met with a lot of resistance of, oh, just relax. There's a lot of season left. Yes, there is. And when that lots of season left, when we get to that point and this team starts playing better, then we'll talk about how much better they're playing. This team, they are not good enough for us to sit here and say that they don't deserve to be criticized when they're not living up to expectations. This team was hyped up all offseason. This team was hyped up by media and fans alike all over the place. And then the season gets here. They're average at best. And now we're supposed to be told, hey, stop being critical. They're grinding. Grinding what? I'm not patient. I'm not patient, especially when I'm told that there's expectations and there's just too much talent on this team for us to sit here and say, oh, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. The non-con is so important to them. Okay. It's so important. Every game, and the games that have been important, the UNLV loss is huge. The reason the UNLV loss is huge is because a year ago when they were losing those bye games were very hard for a lot of people to overlook, but they still almost came this close to getting an at-large bid last year because although they did lose those bad bye games, they got big wins over teams like Michigan State, I believe it was, and they got the big win, against Kansas, and they had a lot of very good wins throughout the non-con despite those 3 bad, bye losses. Then they dominated the A-10. But here's the problem. Losing to those bad teams can be outweighed by beating the good teams. You haven't beat a good team yet. Every good team you face, you've lost to. And I don't even think they've played really, really good teams to top it off. Wisconsin's not a good team. They're solid. They're not great. They're not very good. I mean, they're not one of the top Big Ten teams out there. So even if you would have beat Wisconsin, it would have been a good win, but I think it's a bad loss. Any opponent that's been on the non-con to this point that the committee would look at, and I say committee because I got college football playoffs on my mind, but when we do get to Selection Sunday and that they're all sitting in that room kind of dissecting and combing through their resume, they're going to look at all this and say, well, okay, you beat Robert Morris, Lindenwood, okay. UNLV, on the road, you challenged yourself. Oh, you lost that one. Wisconsin, a Big Ten win. Nope, you lost that one. Oh, well, NC State, ACC opponent. Nope, you lost that too. This BYU game is very important. 10-2, at least the score that I have at this point. They lead 10-2 with about 13.5 with what I have in front of me. But, I'm not hating. But don't tell me that it's not a big deal what's happened in the early going. They don't have a lot of opportunities to get signature wins because the A-10 is not very good this year, folks. It's not very good. It's really, really, it's not the worst, but it's not strong enough that I think that they have to play perfect basketball the rest of the way. I don't think they're deep enough to play perfect basketball. They don't have good enough 3-point shooting to play perfect basketball. We'll see what happens, but I think this team felt a lot further away last year than where they ended up. Anthony Grant teams get better as the season goes on. I get that. But sometimes by the time they get to the point where they flip that switch and everything's cruising, by the time you get to that point, it may be too late just because they may have missed on the key opportunities. And the key opportunity was Wisconsin. The key opportunity was NC State. You got Western Michigan and Southeastern Louisiana coming up after this. They'll go beat up on those teams, hopefully. Dayton fans, you'll feel like, oh man, they got their groove back. Then they'll have Virginia Tech coming up. But they got Virginia Tech, and that's about it as far as anything key in the non-conference around the corner. Virginia Tech is it. After today, they have to beat BYU. They look to be off to a good start, but they were off to a very good start yesterday, and we saw what happened. But after this week, like I said, you got Virginia Tech on the road. Then you got Wyoming in that invitation over in Chicago. Wyoming has been bad. I thought Wyoming was really good. They had a lot of returning guys from last year. I called an NCAA tournament game for them last year. I really liked their team, but they've really kind of stumbled out of the gate just like Dayton. So I don't know how much of a good win that's going to be if they're able to beat Wyoming coming up here in a couple of weeks. Then you have Alcorn State. That's nothing. So yes, this BYU game is very important. I'm not hating. I'm not trying to stir the pot. I think I'm being a realist when it comes to this Dayton Flyers situation. I think what happened over this weekend or I shouldn't say weekend, I guess I should just say the last couple of days, it's a big deal. The season's not over, but the season just became significantly more difficult for Dayton. So just keep that in mind. It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Responses and reaction. All right, I'm not even going to jump into that with you guys right now. I'll get back into that later on, but we'll talk more Dayton basketball later on. I'll continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on right now with Dayton, of course, and BYU and their final game over in the Bahamas. Hopefully they can get that key win before returning home. And again, they got a couple home games coming up around the corner, as I mentioned. Wednesday, November 30th, Western Michigan at the arena, and then Southeastern Louisiana. So you get a win today, 4-3. Get a couple more wins next week. All right, now you're getting to 5, 6, and 4. Now you're starting to kind of cruise a little bit. Got Virginia Tech, but I don't know even if they beat Virginia Tech, and let's say that they beat BYU today, I don't know what their at-large chances are going to be. This is not a great basketball team. It's a very good basketball team. It's not a great basketball team. Anthony Grant and his staff have not done the best job. I blame them for a lot of these issues because we talk all the time about their recruiting and how much great talent that they bring in. And they do. Anthony Grant kills it. His staff kills it. Sher Johnson, those guys Deron Holmes. This is a very talented roster, but it's not a very good basketball team right now. And that's a concern. Having a talented roster is one thing, but if they're not a good basketball team, that's coaching. That's Anthony Grant. Obi Toppin's not here anymore. So him and his staff have to figure it out because the excuses, I'm getting tired of the excuses. There's no more excuses when it comes to the Dayton Flyers. I'm not being a hater. I'm being critical. That's allowed. This isn't a cult, or maybe it is for you, but I am allowed to be critical, just so you know. All right, coming up next, Ohio State, Michigan, a noon kick tomorrow. Finally, a battle of undefeateds. This matchup means something. Thank goodness. I'm so tired of having to hide behind the buildup to the rivalry that is Ohio State, Michigan. Oh, well, Ohio State's facing a 2 or 3 loss crappy program. That really isn't what it used to be. But they are back, at least for this season, and definitely building off what they did last year. I'll give Harbaugh credit. I'll give Michigan credit. This is the first time in quite a while where they've been able to produce back-to-back very good seasons and at least add some flair to this Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. What can we expect between Ohio State and Michigan tomorrow? Former Buckeye Bobby Carpenter. He's going to call into the show and hang out with us when we come back. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash as we head into hour 2. Former Buckeye Bobby Carpenter. He joins us next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, Buckeye fans. As the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for 2 to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner will be chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Without Prilosec, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this yummy holiday food. Speaking of, whoever made that apple pie, delicious. I just take 1 pill each morning and 0 heartburn all day. So cheers to Prilosec OTC. Ooh, are those jalapeno poppers?
Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid that can cause heartburn, so you can enjoy the holidays. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
At the United States Postal Service, we're here to deliver fast and reliable service to help you get holiday ready. We offer free package pickup and deliver free shipping supplies to your address. So whether you're in Garland, Texas, Rudolph, Wisconsin, or anywhere in between, we're making it easier for you to spread festive cheer this holiday season. USPS, delivering for America. For all your holiday needs, including info about free shipping supplies, free package pickup availability, and restrictions, go to USPS.com/holidays.
Nothing protects your engine better than AMSOIL lubricants. Get ready for winter, protect your investment.
Amsoil, the first in synthetic since 1972. Come out to Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North, Dayton Lakeview Road. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Where can you save big on Black Friday and go big on holiday prep? Lowe's, actually. Black Friday is happening now. Save on appliances and don't miss the deals only at Lowe's.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Down the sideline to the 10 and drags a defender in the end zone for a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba. A 50-yard scoring strike from C.J. Stroud. He'll hit the Purdue 40. Down the left side to the 30. Henderson to the 20 to the 10. And into the end zone goes Henderson.
Don't miss the Buckeyes all season long. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and on 92.9 Jack FM. Go Bucks.
Ohio State, Michigan, a noon kickoff tomorrow right here on Dayton's radio home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. And now joining us to preview tomorrow's matchup between Ohio State, the Buckeyes, of course, and that team up north, a guy that has, well, little experience with this rivalry, of course. He's played in it, and he's covered it for years. And he's joining us now on this post-Thanksgiving edition of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Bobby Carpenter. Bobby, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for taking the time and hanging out with us. But this is what it's all about. Ohio State, Michigan. Finally, we're not just having to rest on the history of the rivalry. There is something at stake here. Both teams undefeated, both teams with the chance to get to the college football playoff and the Big Ten championship, and so much on the line. There's so many ramifications for the team that does not come out on top tomorrow. This is what it's all about, and excited to be hanging out with you today, Bobby. Welcome.
Yeah, Justin, happy Thanksgiving to you too. It's been a terrific weekend. This is really probably my favorite weekend of the year. Thanksgiving, it's always a Thursday. You get football, food, no gifts, no expectations. It really has everything you want.
Bobby, I caught an episode of Carp's Corner, on YouTube, and I'll have you elaborate on Carp's Corner here in just a moment. But you were talking about senior tackle and the significance of that being moved. Can you elaborate? What is senior tackle, and why is that so significant that this tradition was moved by Ryan Day, and how well it's been perceived, by the way?
Senior tackle's kind of evolved throughout the years. It used to be, my dad was playing. He's like, the seniors would pick an underclassman. Usually it's their backup, the guy that's going to take their place or a good friend. And it was just like one unadulterated hit that you used to be able to give them. Now it's like you're hitting a bag and you have a young guy, like they talk about you. And, they do it in the stadium. My senior year we did there. 1 year we had to do it in the Woody because it was raining. But it was always the Thursday before the Michigan game. And it's a big deal, and it's something that's pretty great. It's a kind of rite of passage, for every player. And it's kind of the equivalent of, senior day, with your parents. It's kind of that for the team, of getting a chance to say goodbye and, talk to the guys about what everything it means to them. And it was always the Thursday before Michigan. Well, when they moved to Michigan game after Thanksgiving, that compressed that schedule that day. They're trying to make sure guys can spend a little time with their family, the coaches can get out of there. It's the last 10 years, it's been really tough. And so Ryan pushed it to they're going to do it during bowl practice. And there's some people that were a little upset. The players were all for it because they want to make sure it has its ample time to breathe, and it's given its deserved time. But also, now it allows you to make sure you're fully preparing for the game, and then also getting out of there at a reasonable time on Thursday to make sure it's not just a crazy compressed day. So there's some people that are a little upset that it's breaking tradition. Like, you broke tradition when they moved the game after Thanksgiving. That changed up the timeline of the entire week. So I think Ryan was smart to do this. I think it was probably a little bit overdue, and it's something that hopefully will pay some dividends. We'll see on Saturday.
Bobby, we know, I mean, obviously it's, this rivalry, how special it is. It always means a ton, but it just means even more when there's something on the line, as I alluded to opening up the segment here. But, both teams 11-0, both teams, the winner goes on to the Big Ten championship, pretty much clinches a spot in the playoff, maybe a spot for the loser too, depending on how the outcome goes. But just talk about, again, with your involvement in the rivalry as a player and covering it all these years later, just how special tomorrow is. Ohio State, Michigan, both 11-0, both a chance to get to the Big Ten championship and a chance to get to the playoff. It just means more when there's so much more on the line, I'm sure, from your playing days and even covering it. How special is this matchup tomorrow?
Oh, it's incredibly special. Great Ohio State historian Jack Park informed me that about 3 weeks ago, he says, if they both win out, this will be the 5th time that both teams will enter since they moved the game to the final game of the season in like the 20s, that both teams will enter unbeaten or untied. And so that's obviously pretty amazing. And this will be the 12th time that there's a top 5 matchup between both. And the home team has won every one of those games but 2. In 73, it was a 10-10 tie. And then in 75, Ohio State won in Ann Arbor. But the rest of those have all been won by the home team. So the home field advantage is big. The fact that they're both undefeated is big. It was weird that I found myself I wanted Illinois to be good, and I kind of actually like Brett Bielema now, but kind of cheering for Michigan to win so that it would be an undefeated matchup and that it would make the game that much more important. And, like, if they're going to lose to somebody, you want Michigan to lose to Ohio State. Like, that's where you want the loss to ultimately come. And I think, because the victory will taste that much sweeter knowing everything was out here and what was involved in it. So you look through the annals of history of everything that's happened, everything that's gone on, and you put the colors on, you put on the scarlet and gray, you run out of the tunnel on Saturday at noon, and you're not just representing your team, but you're representing your family, the state of Ohio, and really every player that has donned that jersey in that game before you. And so you have to have a sense of that emotionally going out there and prepare yourself for it, because it's going to be incredibly difficult to kind of understand what it's all about in the present time. And if you're not emotionally prepared, that thing can get away from you in a hurry.
We have Bobby Carpenter with us here. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Bobby, you were a part of 2 wins, Ohio State over Michigan. We always talk about, man, how just dreadful of a feeling that is to lose, but it may sound like just a very generic question. But when that clock hits 0 and you're a part of the team that beats that team up north, take us back to your playing days. What's that emotion you feel walking off that field, regardless of outcomes of games before and regardless of the games coming up after? You're walking off the field, clock hits 0. Victory over that team up north. What are those emotions like?
Well, Justin, I'll tell you, I was actually part of 3, so I'm not going to let you shortchange you one.
I disrespected you. My fault.
Those things they're hard to come by. And, each one of them, they're like kids. Like, which one's your favorite? Like, well, in 2002, it's your freshman year. I didn't know any better. That was like turning the series. It was the first time we won consecutive games since the stinking 80s with Tress. So that was a huge deal. Going to the national championship, obviously. 2005 was the first time I had won in the big house. So that was a really big deal for me to be able to go up there. I broke my leg during the game, my ankle, and, it was kind of a crazy thing, but unbelievable comeback with Troy Smith throwing it to Gonzo there at the end, leading to a touchdown. And like the 2004 game at home may have been my favorite, because to me, it kind of personifies what the rivalry ultimately is and represents how awesome that we were heading into that game at 6-4. Michigan is 9-1. They'd already wrapped up the Big Ten and already won and already were going to the Rose Bowl. And we went in there and we were heavy underdogs. I want to say 13 points. Gave up 2 touchdowns early in the game on opening drive, the first 2 drives. And then we held them. We stood our ground defensively, offense got going, and we really routed them 37-20, I believe. And the game didn't even feel as close as it was. And so we were able to get it done. And a team that no one expected to win. And that changed how I remember that season because of that victory. Because we were able to beat Michigan. We didn't win the Big Ten. It was the difference between going to the Sun Bowl and the Alamo Bowl, for heaven's sake. Like, it didn't matter. But winning that game at home, in the shoe, in front of 107,000 people, whatever the heck it was, it meant a lot. It mattered a lot because they won in 2003, and that was our ability to turn that rivalry back again. And then that was the 3rd time in 4 years, and you could kind of feel the momentum ultimately swaying our way. And it was probably something that was, like I said, the most significant, because there was no significance to the game other than the rivalry and what it meant for Ohio State to get that win.
Bobby, last thing on the way out, Jim Knowles has done a fantastic job with the defense, with the defense being as bad as what it has been the last couple of seasons. It's obvious the vast improvement from the last couple of years. I'm always viewed as negative, but, as much as I've seen this defense improve, there's still times where I'm just a little weary of it as we head into the portion of the season where you start to face the teams that can really expose you for any deficiencies you have. You can get through it against teams like Northwestern and others, but can you get through it against the team like that team up north, assuming that they have their running back? We'll get to that in a moment. But and then the teams that are on the on the horizon come playoff time. But we watched Northwestern run on Ohio State. We watched them outgain Ohio State a few weeks ago. We watched Penn State throw for over 300 yards against the Buckeye defense. Maryland really was comfortable moving the ball up and down the field at big moments throughout that game last weekend. Am I being negative? Or are there some concerns still about the defense, regardless of how improved it is from over the last couple of seasons?
Well, everything that you said right there was real. Those things happen. Northwestern was able to run the ball, albeit they could only muster 7 points. And so, while rush defense is important and total defense matters, like to me, scoring defense is the only thing that ultimately matters because your job is to ultimately keep them out of the end zone. Penn State threw the ball really well. They played a heck of a game. Were able to put up more points than I thought they'd be able to. And Maryland, I thought Maryland had the best offense in the Big Ten outside of Ohio State and Michigan. And when healthy, they could do that. And so defensively, they had to get it going a little bit. They let Tulea out of the pocket. He made some plays. The one thing is, though, Michigan, unless J.J. McCarthy, he can run. I have not seen him throw the ball down the field consistently yet with accuracy. So they rely a lot on the running game. If Blake Corum's hurt, we'll have to see how that ultimately goes. I know this, the front seven, those guys remember giving up 297 yards last year. They were young. They were a little inexperienced. Maybe schematically things weren't necessarily great. A lot of those things have ultimately changed. And the linebacking play is much better. Safeties are much better tacklers. And so getting guys on the ground, being physical and stopping the run, I know that is a priority. That's something that those guys understand, that will be a badge that they will have to wear, a badge of honor or a scarlet letter for the rest of the rest of the year if they cannot find a way to get this run stop, or if they come up and play a great game. You're going to have to own it and you have to eat it. So they've worked on it. Ryan's pushed the toughness on. Jim Knowles has been about it. And frankly, this is 11-0. This is how they got here. It's what Michigan did. Everybody anticipated both these teams being this at the beginning of the season. And now it's time to go put up or shut up. Like everything else is basically inconsequential at this point.
Ohio State, Michigan, a noon kick. Bobby, send us out quickly your prediction for Ohio State, Michigan. Who's coming out on top?
Goodness, I was thinking it'd be a lower scoring game. The more I look at it, gosh, the weather's supposed to be so nice. High 40s, low 50s, sunny, no breeze. Like it should be really good. I was thinking 24-10 Ohio State. I think this will be a one-score game in the fourth quarter. It's not going to be a comfortable win for Ohio State. It'll be a tough, hard-fought decision. Hopefully they get a nice insurance touchdown late. But I think this will be one that should be a game that will be very memorable for the ages.
All right, former Buckeye Bobby Carpenter, Carp's Corner. Catch that on YouTube and, of course, Morning Juice on The Fan in Columbus. Always enjoy catching up with Bobby Carpenter. Bobby, appreciate your time. I know you have a lot on your plate the rest of the day, so thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Justin, my pleasure, man. Anytime.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 53. Tonight's going to be clear and cold, a low near 30. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 55. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the number one selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
Hi there, I'm your host, Dog, filling in for the human who's normally here and bringing you the smells and sounds of the holidays, courtesy of Beggin' Dog Treats.
We wish you a begging Christmas. We wish you a begging Christmas. Go quest ye merry Doberman, let begging you acquire.
Friday event has arrived with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 50% off select performance business PCs powered by 12th gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
For the latest holiday tech gifts at great prices, Staples has you covered.
I need unbeatable prices on tech for everyone on my nice list.
Staples has you covered with the hottest tech gifts at Black Friday prices. Right now, the new Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation is just $199 with the Staples Connect app. Plus, save up to $330 off HP, Lenovo, and Asus laptops. The latest tech gifts are at Staples, the working and learning store. Offers end 11/26. Limit 1 on AirPods. AirPods sale price $229 without app offer. In-store only.
You need employees.
Tell me about it.
Actually, tell us about it.
Why?
Because when you tell us about your job openings, we can tell over 300,000 other people.
You can?
Yeah, whether you're looking for a job or a better job, Alpha Media Recruitment can help fill any position with qualified job seekers with a custom plan that combines our broadcast and digital platforms.
You can do that?
It's what we do. Alpha Media Dayton, on air, on site, on demand. Call 937-519-0111. That's 937-519-0111. Or email DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com. That's DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com.
Buckeye football season is back. That means tailgating and parties for the big game. You need the Lee's famous recipe Buckeye Bucket. It comes with 25 pieces of the delicious jumbo breast strips for only $44.99. Of course, you can add a few of their famous country side items, buttermilk biscuits, gallons of fresh brewed Lee's iced tea, or lemonade. You have the perfect recipe for a tailgate or watch party. Cheer on the Buckeyes this weekend with a Buckeye Bucket. Order today.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Black Friday is here at Menards, and we've got the perfect present for your loved ones. Relax your aching muscles with a new Impact Massager. Get it for a steal, only $19.99. Take your game to the next level with a new gaming chair. It's comfortable and only $59.99 after sale price and rebate. Hurry into Menards this Black Friday for more great deals. Doors open at 6 a.m. Black Friday. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm Tamron Hall. Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. With 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way we care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
Justin Kinner back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Dayton Flyers a 19-point lead right now in the first half with about 3 minutes to go over BYU. Good and bad news for the Dayton Flyers. The good news is it looks like the Flyers have finally found their hot streak. I mean, this is the best offensive half I think we've seen from them all season, not to get against a team not named Lindenwood. But BYU, solid team, 3-3 in the season. At this point, this is less about who UD is playing and more about who they want to be. The good news is shooting the ball real well. They're off to a hot start, 36 points, but still 3 minutes to go. They've played real well. Right now, shooting the ball 40%, shooting the ball 52%. They're 13 to 25 from the floor, 40% from behind the three-point line. This is not the Flyer team that we've seen the last couple of days. It's no surprise you look at the improvement in those shooting numbers. The defense is still there. The defense, right now, they've held BYU to 17 points, and there's still about 2.5 minutes to go. The defense is there. That's who Dayton is. Dayton's going to be an elite defensive team all season. They got the length, they got the size, they got the shot blockers, and they're very active in the passing lanes. The problem is they don't have an offense that complements it, so they're going to be in a lot of games, and they're going to lose a lot of games they shouldn't. Hopefully this isn't one of them. Now, here's the bad news. The good news is playing a lot better. This is a different-looking Dayton team than what we've seen the last couple of days. The problem is Deron Holmes just went out with an injury. Deron Holmes, I do not see out on the floor. I heard during the broadcast mentioned that they took him to the back immediately. Kind of came down. I think he ran in to Amzil, but nonetheless. So the problem with this is Dayton has 37 points in the first half, 14 of those coming from Deron Holmes. Sherajams has 8 points. He's 2 of 4, but of those 8 points, 6 of those come from behind the three-point line. So Dayton right now doesn't have a lot of playmakers out on the floor. Right now they have to find a way to get Kamara more involved, maybe in the post. They have to find a way, obviously, Amzil at times can get hot and streaky. A lot of times they definitely need that, but this is where Elvis has to come to play. We saw Elvis the other day become a little bit of a playmaker. I thought he was making some decent plays, in that first one, that they had on Wisconsin. What day is today? It's Friday. I think I want to say it's like Monday or something. It's such a wonky day today. But nonetheless, it's 37-19. Deron Holmes back out on the floor, so that is good to go. So ignore what I just said. He did leave the floor for a little bit, but he's back out there, so that's good for the Flyers. I'll keep you updated on that throughout. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz going to join us coming up around the corner. How about Bobby Carpenter just joining us now, or he just joined us? And some interesting nuggets about this Ohio State-Michigan game tomorrow. And this is why, there's a lot of reasons why I feel like Ohio State's going to win this tomorrow, but one of the big reasons is what history tells us just about the way teams win and where they win in this matchup. It's the fourth time that both of these teams meet in an unbeaten matchup. That's pretty cool. It's the 12th top 5 matchup between both programs, and all but 2 games going all the way back to the 70s, all but 2 games throughout this entire series have been won at home. Every single one of these matchups have been won by the home team except for 2. One of them was a tie, as Bobby talked about back in the 70s. Very interesting stuff. As if Ohio State didn't have enough reasons as to why they were the favorite to come away tomorrow, you had the fact that they're just playing at the shoe, and they have multiple tunnels, Shaw, just so you know, like real teams do. Just throwing that out there. But nonetheless. But we'll get into the significance of this matchup coming up with Jason Fitz here around the corner. I do want to say, I think as big as this Ohio State-Michigan game is, I opened up the show with this, I think the biggest game of the weekend, as far as the implications that it'll have on the college football playoff, I don't think it's Ohio State-Michigan. I think that's the biggest game of the weekend when you have 2 versus 3. Battle of unbeatens. But when you talk about the playoff, the matchup that has the most implications on the playoff itself is USC and Notre Dame. USC beats Notre Dame. That means they're going to the Pac-12 championship. We're going to get another top 25 win coming up around the corner. This will be the third in the last 4 weeks. USC, they're cruising. They go on to win a Pac-12 championship, one loss. They're in the college football playoff. And then all of a sudden you look at, obviously, TCU and the Big 12. They're in the playoff, right? And now you have Georgia at 1 and the winner between Ohio State and Michigan. The only way this whole scenario works with Ohio State and Michigan, the loser still having a chance to make the playoff, is if the Pac-12 is completely eliminated. That's why this Notre Dame and USC game is so huge as we head into the weekend. Because if USC loses, you still got your Georgia at 1. All right, you're going to obviously have Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State's coming out on top tomorrow. I don't really care what anybody says. So they're going to be at 2. And then at 3, TCU moves up. And then all of a sudden on Tuesday night, Michigan's going to drop to 5, or maybe they drop to 6. Maybe they drop even further because the committee seems locked in on LSU. I think we see USC in the top 4 when it's all said and done on this second to last poll that comes out on Tuesday. All right, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He's going to join us next. One more time, under a minute to go in the first half. The Dayton Flyers lead at 37-22. BYU started to heat up a little bit. Dayton's cooled down. We'll see if they get a point. They nearly turned it over, and it's going to stay with Dayton. So very good one going on between Dayton and BYU. It looked as if it was going to be a blowout. BYU starting to heat up. We'll see if they can take momentum into the half and come out with it. But Dayton has to find a way to capture that momentum that they did at the beginning of the half and sustain. But we'll keep you updated on that. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll talk rivalry week. We'll even talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. We get maybe a positive update on a returning player, but they also found out today they'll be without one of their top players. That's all coming up next. Jason Fitz. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
If you only wear red and blue and nothing gets you more excited than supporting your Flyers, Flyers Spirit is the place for you. It's easy to show your Flyer pride with our wide selection of great merchandise. Cheer on the Dayton Flyers with style. We're stocked up for the basketball season with your favorite brands, including Antigua, Under Armour, Nike, and Champion. Whether you're shopping down on Brown Street, on campus, or in the arena, our staff and students are ready to help you find all your Flyer gear. Shop online anytime at shop.udayton.edu.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Did you know that 3 Ohioans are diagnosed with oral cancer every day? Dentists are doctors of dental surgery and can recognize life-threatening conditions and treat oral diseases before they become serious health complications. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. If you've been waiting to buy, now is the time. 2022 Honda Pilots with financing as low as 1.9%, 2022 Honda Passports and 2023 Ridgelines with financing as low as 2.9%, and all in stock for immediate delivery. We will save you money today. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda, Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Your money has to go farther. So remember, everyday values are at only one place, Frickers. Monday, boneless frickin' chicken wings. Tuesday, traditional frickin' chicken wings. Wednesday is all about that steak. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Frickers, where kids 10 and under eat free every day. Remember draft beer specials, everyday values, and kids eat free every day. The home for money-saving value is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Fall is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked. Seasonal refreshments and holiday beers have arrived, just in time for your favorite sporting events. Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for your family holiday plans. At Rob's, you'll find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need. Craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wines, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel. For last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the green. Rob's Beer Barn. Just look for the beaver.
If you turn 65 this year, you are eligible for Medicare. To help you understand your choices and possibility of financial assistance, the Ohio Department of Insurance is holding Welcome to Medicare events across the state. So join us at a free event near you. Make sure your plan suits your budget and your needs. For more information, contact the Ohio Department of Insurance at 1-800-686-1578 or go online at insurance.ohio.gov.
This holiday season, switch to Boost Mobile and get a single line unlimited plan for $25 a month and
a partridge in a pear tree
coverage on America's largest 5G networks.
How about 7 swans of swimming?
No, but if you're not satisfied within the first 30 days, Boost gives you your money back.
Turtle doves, French hens?
The lowest truly unlimited plan on the market, one line for $25 a month when you switch.
I'll take it.
Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer. New customers only. One line for $25 per month with autopay. Device must be returned in like new condition. Monthly service refunded via e-gift card. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. You know, the fries covered in bold Mexican spices you dip in a warm nacho cheese sauce. You can also dunk them in nacho cheese sauce or pour the sauce onto a pile of them and create like a nacho fries nachos. The thing is that you eat them with nacho cheese sauce. That's what makes them nacho fries. Otherwise, you're just eating fries and sipping on nacho cheese sauce, and that's the wrong way. Sorry, just really passionate about nacho fries.
Nacho fries are back. Only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation which vary.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Justin Kenner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll get to your guys' phone calls coming up again here around the corner. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz joins us in just one moment, but I want to make sure everyone gets an update on the Dayton Flyers game. Again, they just took a 40-24 lead at the half. This is a team that scored 14 points in the first half against Wisconsin, lost 43-42. You score 42 points, you deserve to get your ass kicked. They lost by 1 point. They have been very fortunate with as poorly as they've played offensively to be 3-3 at this point of the season. However, their offense came to play today, 40-24, shooting the ball much better, 38% from behind the three-point line, 5-13, 46% overall in that first half. Deron Holmes just been dominant. 5-7 from the floor, 14 points, 6 rebounds. I said it to start the show. I'm like, that guy, he just has to be the guy. I'm tired of hearing about all the press. I'm tired of hearing about all the coverage of the kid, but then, he's never the guy that's leading them, to victories. He has the most points on the team. He's never leading them anywhere. He's leading them here in the first half. Give Flyers and Anthony Grant credit. They've responded after a poor couple of days in the Bahamas, but it's hard to feel bad for anyone who's in the Bahamas when we're all hanging out here. College football, big weekend. Rivalry weekend, Ohio State, Michigan, obviously USC and Notre Dame. A lot of big games coming up this weekend. I'm excited to talk about all of that. We'll get to some NFL stuff as well. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz hanging out with us. Jason Fitz, happy post-Thanksgiving. Welcome in, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, my friend. I always appreciate it. Hope you had a great holiday.
Yeah, so I opened up the show. I said, look, I know I have a lot of hot takes out there, but here's a hot take for you. As good as the food is on Thanksgiving Day, there is nothing better than the next day when you go home on your lunch break and you warm up that Thanksgiving Day food. I thought my meal today was exactly what I had yesterday, but something about a little microwave heat to it just made it taste better than yesterday fresh. I don't get it, but I'm all about the next day leftovers from Thanksgiving.
So the recipe you didn't know you needed, if you take a muffin tin and you take like crescent roll, and you put it in the bottom of the muffin tin, and then you take little spoonfuls of everything from your Thanksgiving table and you put it all in that muffin, put a little crescent roll on top, butter that thing, you put it in the oven, you heat it up that way, you end up with this little bite-sized muffin full of your entire Thanksgiving meal. It is a delight.
It's always good talking to you, Jason. I got to go. I'm hungry. I'm heading over to make that right now. But no, big weekend coming up. I'm actually glad that we got you later in the week than on Tuesday, mainly just because I feel like since that the latest poll came out, that so much has happened since then, or at least we've kind of moved on to this coming up weekend. My only thing about the polls, I'll bring up to you now, just your reaction. LSU remaining at number 5. That seemed, we knew the top 4 was going to stay the same. The only thing that generated a reaction from people, which to the surprise of nobody, especially us, LSU staying at 5 irks some people, or moving up to 5, while USC, who gets that big win against UCLA last weekend, they're still 2 spots out. Your thoughts on all the reaction or overreaction, if you will, to LSU being at 5?
I think what the committee does sometimes, and look, I haven't sat in the room with this particular group, but the easiest thing to do is make it safe for the future. So what you do by moving LSU up is you put yourself in a really nice spot, because if LSU, the number 5 team in the country, actually wins the SEC championship, then what you've got this easy justification to put the first ever 2-loss team in the playoff. If they're already not in the top 5, then it becomes even tougher no matter what happens. Even with the Georgia situation, you've got a real easy path for LSU. Plus, nobody thinks that's going to happen. When LSU gets absolutely trashed by Georgia, which is what I think will happen, they'll fall out, and all of a sudden, no harm, no foul, USC easily moves up. So the committee does the safe thing. If the committee puts USC with 1 loss ahead of LSU, which I think they should have done, now all of a sudden you're going to be justifying every single move for the rest of the season. Instead, the one thing I say every year with you, every fall when we're hanging out, is that college football takes care of itself, and sometimes I think the committee banks on that.
Yes, and we might be very well on our way to that being the case. I keep rooting for chaos every year. We've yet to get it. I thought we were well on our way to doing it, but there's one scenario that plays out that just makes way too much sense. It's USC winning out, 1-loss Pac-12 champion. I'm assuming that I would feel like they're going to get in. Ohio State beats Michigan, Big Ten champion, they're in. Georgia, SEC champion, they're in. And TCU, Big 12 champion, they're in. I just feel like that's the most non-chaotic, most common sense finish to the season. I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I want chaos. It wouldn't be a terrible 4 by any means, but that seems to be the most realistic, assuming all those teams win out, of course.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's what our Final Four looks like it's going to be. And TCU is the team that I think every week is going to lose, and every week they somehow don't. But think about what we saw last weekend. You come down and look, you can tell me all day long that they practice that hurried, oh my God, Benny Hill, field goal attempt. You can tell me that they know it takes 12 seconds. Great. If you watch the replay, they hand off to a running back who falls, is tackled. He stands up slowly and then realizes, oh, wow, we're running this play, and sprints off. They had no timeouts. They put their entire playoff life on the line for that wild play to get an extra 4 yards. That's when you know you're just kissed by the football gods. I think TCU right now is surviving, and as long as they're surviving, they're getting a lot of credit for it. But, man, if I'm TCU, I don't want to take on Texas. Texas played the worst game that we've seen Texas play in a long time. They're going to have revenge on their mind. If I'm TCU, I'd much rather watch Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game, which, by the way, shameless plug, I'll be at the Big 12 championship game hosting the Dr. Pepper halftime tuition challenge. So everybody should check that out.
No, that's really cool. Real quick on the Big 12 last week, everyone said, man, teams 1 through 4, every one of them played poorly. And I said, well, Georgia didn't blow out an opponent the way you thought they would, against a Kentucky team. Ohio State did not rout Maryland the way we expected them to. Michigan, I mean, they're lucky to, pull away the way that they did and hang on for that win. TCU, yes, they won a close one, but let's be clear. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan all did not play the way that they were expected to. The only team that technically did play the way we expected them to, they were only like a 2 or 3 point favorite. They were a 1-possession favorite in that. TCU is the only team that technically played at the level of which we expected them to. They're not doing it in a sexy way. They're just kind of challenging the committee, saying, hey, you can ask and request style points all you want, but we're just going to keep going out and doing our thing and really going to force the hand of the committee. And it looks like that they, very similar to Cincinnati last year, it ain't matter how they did it. They just kept that 0 in the loss category, and that's all that matters for TCU right now.
Yeah, I love that Cincinnati comparison, by the way, because it is really similar to that to me. Like, this team feels similar to that. And the crazy thing is that if TCU had gone out and won convincingly, I'm not sure that they couldn't have put themselves in a position to be number 3 in the poll this week ahead of Michigan, but they weren't able to do that with the style points. And that actually long-term helps Michigan. If we get the epic end of all games, I can't believe it. Michigan barely loses on the last play of the game. Can Michigan make the statement that, hey, losing to number 2 on the road in the last play of the game, well, my God, we need 2 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. I mean, that's the big hope they get. So I think Michigan should be sending TCU flowers for even still being that high up in the conversation.
So I opened up the show with this. Ohio State, Michigan. It's the biggest game of the weekend. That's not a hot take, but my hot take, if you will, is that this is not the biggest matchup in regards to the impact on the college football playoff. I think the biggest matchup of the weekend from a playoff perspective is Notre Dame and USC. Your thoughts on that matchup? I think that's quietly the second biggest game of the weekend, just because of everything that's at stake as far as the committee sitting back, holding their breath, as far as what decisions they're going to have to make in the future. A lot of it's repeated talking points that we've just alluded to already, but I think that's what makes this USC Notre Dame game so important this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think it's the second biggest game. I think it's the biggest, because out of the game, you're going to get a playoff team. Whoever wins that, you got one. If you're USC, you've got weakness on weakness. The big argument against USC is they want to see competence on the defensive side of the football. And they're taking on a Notre Dame team that, frankly, offensively just looks like an abomination more often than not, right? So this is a chance for USC to go out and at least give everybody the comfortable optics of, hey, I got this figured out. This is like USC this week is the equivalent of, like, I bought the pie from a store, I repackaged it, now I'm taking it to Thanksgiving dinner and telling everybody it's mine. Like, you can give it benefit of the doubt. That's what's going to happen if their defense can look competent against a bad Notre Dame offense. USC is going to go out, and I think they're going to try to run up the score. And I'll tell you, Michael Jr., my buddy that played for Notre Dame, constantly said that even the year that they lost the national championship, as he walked out on the field for the Natty, what he told himself was, man, no matter what, we beat USC. This has been a great year. Enjoy this moment. You think about how much that means to Notre Dame players. Marcus Freeman, like, if you're Marcus Freeman, you want to come out with the thunder of the gods. If you're USC, you better come out and run up the score. I think USC is going to try and make a statement, try and win this game big. And Caleb Williams, by the way, for all the conversation we want to have about Bryce and CJ, right now, if the draft were today and he were draft eligible, I'd take Caleb Williams above both of them.
Nice. And I've heard a couple analysts kind of allude to that as well. I only come across those because I hear seeing Buckeye fans losing their minds over that. But Caleb Williams has been the real deal. That's for sure. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here. Jason, Monday's show, I got met with a lot of Ohio State, Michigan. It's the greatest rivalry in the history of sports. And I said, I'm going to pump the brakes on that. I disagree. I think that a rivalry needs a little competitive balance. And I think that, we're talking about a 22-year stretch where Ohio State's won 17 of these matchups. They've been to 5 national championships. They've won 2 of those. They've been to the playoff 4 times. They dominate in recruiting. They've won 11 Big Ten titles. And then there's Michigan, who's been to 1 playoff, who's won 0 national championships, who's won the Big Ten 3 times, and they've lost 17 times to Ohio State. And they're okay recruiting, not great. I just feel like to give something the label of the greatest, I feel like you need a little bit more of what we see out of Duke, North Carolina, where you have 2 Ohio State level teams, right? Where both dominate their conference, both win national championships, both dominate in recruiting, and both dominate one another. It's dead even over the last 100 matchups. It's 50 wins for Duke, 50 for North Carolina. I know college basketball is not going to win over college football, but I just feel like Ohio State, Michigan, it is the biggest game this weekend. It is a big rivalry, but the greatest of all time, I feel like you need a little competitive balance, especially over the last 20 plus years. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, part of what you just mentioned with Duke, North Carolina, is think about the coaches that became legends because of those series, but coaches didn't get fired in those series because it was such a back and forth that it felt like two heavyweight fighters going after each other. The problem with both the game and the Iron Bowl, they mean so much to the region that you're in. But frankly, they've both been fairly one-sided at times. And when there is a big change, it's considered a wild upset. Like coaches get fired at Auburn all the time because they simply can't beat Alabama. And then when they do, it's like, oh my God, well, I have a hard time calling that the great rivalry when everybody's shocked when you get a win in it. And I would say the same thing here. Like a year ago, it was, well, Harbaugh just can't beat Ohio State. He gets one win and everyone's like, oh, glory be to God, this thing's totally figured out. Like I think, at some point what Duke and North Carolina has been is two teams going at it in such a way that every single year you're like, I don't know. This could be it. This could be like, you're not justifying, well, it's a rivalry. You just know. The whole world knows. You have no idea what to expect when you see it. Most of us know what to expect most of the time, even if it's not this year, when it comes to the game and the Iron Bowl. And then the last thing I'd say is, like, I think so much of this depends on where you were born and raised, right? Like, if I thought to go to 20 of my friends that live in the South and say, wow, the game bigger than the Iron Bowl, I would have things thrown at me, right? And if I go to somebody that was born and raised in the Midwest and I'm not like, the Iron Bowl, clearly bigger than the game, I'd have things thrown at me. Like, this is such a regional argument that this is what I always say, like, my rivalry is better than your rivalry is the equivalent of my dad can beat up your dad. None of us really know. And I just once want to see the dads go at it, but it never happens.
And it's just funny because I look at the Big Ten. I'm like, Purdue, Jason, since 2000, they have more wins against Ohio State than Michigan does. Like, that's what's fascinating to me. Purdue, they have more wins than Michigan, but I'm supposed to believe that this is the greatest rivalry of all time. It's a huge rivalry. I'm not saying it's not, but I think you have to be a little bit more critical, or at least have a higher standard for what the greatest rivalry is out there. But who knows? It's always a fun debate, that's for sure. But,
well, and like, to your point, like, think about Duke, North Carolina also. Those two teams, I mean, it's always Duke, North Carolina.
Yep.
You look at some of these other football programs, and look, Michigan State is one of those rivalries that people turn around. I mean, rivalry week, the fact that I'm getting Michigan State, Penn State, anybody that went to Michigan State knows that Michigan's the biggest rival. Like, and you could say the same thing. You can go down to, this weekend we're getting South Carolina versus Clemson. Well, both of those teams have other rivals. Florida State, Georgia's a bigger rivalry game. You look at Alabama over the last several years. Alabama, Georgia has become a bigger rivalry at times. So, like, I think we just have to understand that this sort of ebb and flow happens all the time with these brands.
It's the fourth time that these two teams, Ohio State, Michigan, have met with a 0 in the loss category, which is pretty cool. It's the 12th top 5 matchup between the two. And how about this? All but 2 matchups between these two teams have been won by the home team. A couple ties or a couple, mismatches, of course, back in the 70s. I got all that from Bobby Carpenter, who just hopped on the show with us just a little bit ago. But that's a very interesting anecdote right there, because as if Ohio State needed more bullet points for why I think they're going to win tomorrow, the home team, they just win every one of these matchups. Ohio State's winning tomorrow or today, depending on when you guys are listening to this interview. But your thoughts on this matchup? You've been saying all season, since you've been coming on since the beginning of the college football season, Ohio State's wiping the field with Michigan. I still think they win. Do you still think they wipe the field with Michigan?
Yeah, especially if Blake Corum isn't 100%. Whatever version of Blake Corum we get is not 100%. And that's one of the unfortunate things in this. Like, I really wanted to see the best of these two teams take on the best of these two teams. And if the best versus the best, I still think that Ohio State wins by 3 touchdowns. Ohio State is absolutely explosive. And they've had some sleepwalking games. I think everybody has. But the question is, when you take away the one thing that this team does best, can they still beat you? And the answer to that is, yeah. Like, Ohio State, we haven't seen many teams be able to take away Marvin Harrison Jr. But the fact is, C.J. Stroud is able to find guys all over the field. Their offense is multiple, to use the word that is overused now in the world. And Michigan State's just isn't, right? And Michigan State reminds me this year a little bit, Michigan. Don't get at me, Michigan. Michigan State and Michigan remind me a little of each other in the sense that last year I felt like Kenneth Walker III saved. It's absolutely saved that offense week in and week out. He found yards, and that's what Blake Corum has done. And I'm going to give him a lot of credit for doing that. But you don't beat Ohio State when you need a running back to save you, and that's the way that it has been all year for Michigan. I don't trust J.J. McCarthy, I don't trust Michigan's offense to be able to get a bunch of points. I do trust Ohio State's offense to be explosive, get some big plays, especially at home. If this thing gets if you get into a double-digit lead early, this thing can get out of hand. I don't think it's going to be a close game.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Quick note on the NFL, and we'll let you get back to your holiday weekend. But the Bengals 6-4. They got the win last weekend, and they were able to. Joe Burrow. That's the game I was waiting to kind of see from him without Jamar Chase. We've kind of seen 3 different games from him. He had the horrible game without Jamar Chase against the Browns. He had a very average, below average game against the Panthers, mainly because Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns. They didn't really need him, and then he just dominated the Steelers and that very good defense that the Steelers at least have. Not a very good team, but good defense. We've seen the 3 different sides of Joe Burrow over the last 3 weeks without Jamar Chase. It sounds like they might get him back. We haven't had a final word on that yet, but Joe Burrow and the Bengals, this is about the time last year, Jason, where they quietly started putting together some wins. They started picking up some momentum, and they found themselves in the Super Bowl. They haven't been in the playoff picture all season until this past week. They were at 7 now because of the games yesterday. They currently sit at 6. Is this going to be a repeat of what we saw last year, where this team just gets hot at the right time and maybe rides the arm of Burrow to a Super Bowl, at least in appearance?
I think they can get hot. I don't know that the Titans are the right team to get hot against. And look, obviously I lived in Nashville a long time, so I know this team well. I'm not a Titans fan. I have to be very clear to everybody when I say I don't have a second favorite team. I only have enough oomph in my heart to watch one team lose every Sunday. So, but the thing that impresses me when you watch the Titans, particularly over the last few weeks, there are 2 things that stand out. One, they can get after the quarterback from all over the place. And don't just look at their sack numbers. Look at their pressure numbers. Look at their disruptive numbers. Look at their pass rush win rate numbers. The Titans defense right now is playing lights out at getting hits on the quarterback over the last 3 weeks. So the Bengals are going to have really good pre-snap communication to figure out where that's coming from. The Titans are doing a great job of that. The other thing is that, frankly, yes, the Titans just threw the heck out of the football a week and a half ago, right? Like, the Titans absolutely threw the ball better than anybody would have expected against Green Bay. But the fact is, if that gets the Titans anywhere near hot passing the football, I don't know how you stop them, because every team every week knows that Derrick Henry's coming at you, and he still gets fed. That's the wildest thing about the Titans. They are one-dimensional as an offense. Malik Willis at times has come in, and they've still been able to win football games. So I think the Titans are being slept on a little bit in this process for how good they are. If Jamar Chase is back, then I'm not sure anybody knows how to slow down this offense. If Jamar Chase is back and himself, then I would bank on the Bengals against most teams. If Jamar Chase is not back in this game, I think this is a game the Titans win. I also don't think you panic over that, because there's plenty of football left, and the Bengals are going to be just fine long term.
All right, Jason, before we let you go, you've done sports talk for quite a while with ESPN. You've worked with Sarah Spain for a while, but Sarah Spain just announced that she's going to be moving on from ESPN Radio. Just talk about that, that show, maybe what's next for the show, and you in the evenings, of course.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of announcements to come, and a lot of things still being worked out. So, right now, I think all eyes are on just, a tip of the hat to Sarah. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be a part of ESPN Radio. But I can tell you that, I got better every day sitting next to Sarah, who's thoughtful. She's smarter than I am. And really, when I started in this business with Spain and Fitz, I always look at it, and anybody that's consumed my work knows, like, I look at this stuff as entertainment, our chance to distract. And Sarah was able to come to me and say, hey, you can still be entertaining, but also occasionally thoughtful. And that really changed the way I approached my job. So I owe a lot to Sarah, and she's still going to be part of the ESPN family, but she's not going to be on radio every day. She wants her evenings back. I think it's high time after 12 years that she get the opportunity to do that. But I'm not going anywhere. Fear not. I will still be part of ESPN Radio. So it just won't be with Sarah. And, that's so totally, we're going to spend the next week as we end the show really celebrating her awesomeness and our friendship, because that is a huge part of what makes it fun to do radio with her every day.
Well, I hate to see her go. I'm glad you're not going anywhere, because I do 15 hours a week, and for about 20 minutes, it's credible when you come on every week with us. So we appreciate that. So
yeah, you're stuck with me, my friend. I'm not going anywhere. I appreciate you.
All right. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason, you the man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, my friend. I appreciate you.
All right. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Good stuff there. 518-1410, 518-1410. Let's see what we got on this old Dayton game. I haven't hit I'm going to check the score on that in a while. Dayton looked very solid in that first half. Again, a much different looking team in the first half. And as I say that, BYU has come roaring back 11-4. It's 44-35. It was 40-24. 40-24 at the half, and BYU has jumped out to a very hot start in the start of the second half. Like, I ain't going to be concerned. Look, this is going to be a game of runs down the stretch. I don't think UD was ever going to rout BYU if they had a chance. They let BYU get going a little bit in the final 3 or 4 minutes of that first half. Then Dayton had a couple big shots there to close it out. But this is not the start to the half that you want if you're Anthony Grant. Doesn't mean anything, though. This team has a 9-point cushion. They got to find a way to keep feeding the ball inside, continue to take advantage of that size advantage with Kamara and obviously Deron Holmes. But they got to find a way to continue shooting the ball from behind the three-point line. Not overshooting, but they got to hit effective shots on top of that. Good stuff from ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll step away for a few moments. Talk a little college football on the other side. 518-1410. The phone lines haven't been open. They are open now. We got through all our guests. Now the next part of the show is you being my co-host. It's just me today. I need a co-host. How about it be you? 518-1410. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Want to get a $1,000 Visa card from your Medicare plan? At WellCare, our Medicare Advantage plans are simplified so you can enjoy all the great benefits you care about most. Like our WellCare Flex card, a preloaded debit card that gives you up to $1,000 to pay for extra dental, vision, or hearing expenses not covered by your plan. Like hearing aids, dentures, prescription glasses, co-pays, and more. It's just one more way WellCare is improving every aspect of Medicare to give you access to the top tier benefits you want most. Plus, a little extra. To learn more about WellCare, visit wellcareforoh.com today. That's wellcareforoh.com to enroll today. WellCare, it's Medicare done well. Benefits vary by plan. WellCare is the Medicare brand for Centene Corporation, an HMO, PPO, PFFS, PDP plan with a Medicare contract and is an approved Part D sponsor. Our DSNP plans have a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Black Friday is here at Menards, and we've got the perfect present for your loved ones. Warm up your home with a new Minaqua electric stove with a remote control. Save $60 now and get it for only $69.99. Keep warm with new fleece blankets in a wide assortment of colors and designs. Only $279 each. Hurry into Menards this Black Friday for more great deals. Doors open at 6 a.m. Black Friday.
Save big money at Menards. Give the gift of a Dayton tradition. Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps. Milano's gift cards are the perfect way to give good times and those favorite subs and pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help.
589-9966. 21 and up. Physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regularity licensing requirements. One per customer. $200 issued as $825 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day. DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio. See terms at dkng.co/OH.
Holidays are built around time-honored traditions and creating new memories. This year, why not make it a Harley tradition? The perfect gift can be found at Harley-Davidson of Xenia. The possibilities and traditions.
You can get that purifying, clean feeling like you just left the dentist. Not bad for just a couple of minutes. Oral-B. Brush like a pro.
Come and get it. I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Justin Kenner back with you here. 1410 ESPN Radio, Dayton's radio, home of the Buckeyes. All right, here's the deal, folks. Ohio State, Michigan, noon kickoff tomorrow, right here on Dayton's radio, home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. Submarine House, Kettering. That's where we're going to be. 930 East Dorothy Road. So come on out, hang out with us. Myself, Kev Nash, Ohio State, Michigan. We got a ton of cool prizes we'll be giving away. We have the Cincinnati Reds. They have Reds Fest coming up a week from tomorrow. In fact, we have a lot of passes. So come on out. Get your seats for the Buckeye-Michigan game, of course, and Submarine House. They've been an amazing partner all season. Hasn't just been with the majority of the time we spent it in Kettering, of course, but we've gone out to Troy. We've gone to Beaver Creek. We've gone to City. We've gone all over. appreciate Submarine House. That is a very cool spot to watch the Buckeyes, and we've enjoyed ourselves all season long. Got another one, though. We got Michigan. That's tomorrow. It's a noon kick. They're opening up. 10:30 is when we go live on the air, of course, throughout the pregame, getting you set for Ohio State. We're actually be going live at 10, technically. We're going to have Bobby Carpenter on again in the morning. We're going to have some former Buckeyes join us in the morning. So, again, on 1410 ESPN Radio. But then after the show, we're heading over for another pregame show starting at 10:30 at Submarine House in Kettering. So come on. We'd love to see you. Submarine House in Kettering, that is the spot to watch the Buckeyes all season long. Absolutely. We've enjoyed ourselves all season. Really love that partnership. So come on out. See us tomorrow. Submarine House in Kettering for the Buckeye pregame show for the game. How about that? Jason Fitz, Bobby Carpenter, appreciate their time today hopping on with us to kind of get you prepared and get us set for that matchup. Update on the Dayton Flyers, second half action. They had a nice 16-point lead at the half that's been dwindled down. It's now an 8-point advantage for Dayton. It's 52-44. BYU has jumped out in the first less than 9 minutes of this ball game in the first half or second half. 20-12 start for BYU. I mean, they struggled in that first half, but they have come out firing in the second. Dayton's played really well defensively for the first, 6 games of the season, 6.5 games. But give BYU credit because they've come out swinging. 52-44 Dayton with the lead. All right, so we had Jason Fitz on, and I want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals coming up. The Cincinnati Bengals have a big one coming up this weekend against the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans and the Bengals, I think the Bengals are like a 2.5, 3-point favorite. I haven't checked that line in a while. The Bengals have won 2 straight. They've won 2 of the last 3. And the reason 2 of the last 3 is so significant is because they played exactly 3 games without Jamar Chase. My only shot, if you will, and I don't think it's a shot, I think it's a dumb comment by Joe Burrow, that I'll go ahead and just be very blunt with, and I've never been shy of being blunt when it comes to Joe Burrow to begin with. I think he says some silly things sometimes. You guys, in this area, your fandom, you overlook it. You would be annoyed if other quarterbacks did some of the things that he does, and that's okay. I'm not trying to stir up a reaction or get into an argument with you today, but the stuff that he does and says is just pretty stupid sometimes, and you guys let it slide because you're big Bengals fans, and I'm sure there's things about my team that I don't find as silly because I'm a fan of that team, right? No, I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson. Don't you dare try to spin that. All I'm saying is, like when Baker Mayfield is a prime example, there was a lot of goofy things that he did that you guys just could not stand. And I was like, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. That's the quarterback of my team. I think that's pretty neat. But you all hated it. Well, that's how I am. There's a lot of things, the same stuff you accused me of when it came to Baker with the Browns, I'm accusing you of Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow's a better quarterback than Baker. It doesn't mean that he's immune to criticism of being and saying some stupid things sometimes. So Joe Burrow was asked about his performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week without Jamar Chase, thoughts on his performance and the offense. Joe Burrow responds, I am who I thought I was. I am who I thought I was. Now, a lot of you are out there saying, man, he's so confident. Man, he's just so dreamy. Man, he's amazing. He's so confident. I love that answer. I hate that answer. I am who I thought I was. What does that mean? You played one good game. You've only had one good game without Jamar Chase, and you are who you thought you were. That doesn't make any sense. Joe Burrow played it. I mean, we saw 3 different phases of Joe Burrow without Jamar Chase. He was god-awful against the Cleveland Browns. He only threw for 206 yards against the Panthers and 1 touchdown. It's not as if it's not like he threw all over the Panthers, right? Like he didn't beat up on the Panthers. So really, really bad without him in game 1 against the Browns. Just whatever against the Panthers, 200 number. I mean, Brandon Allen or whoever the backup is, he can go in and throw for 206 yards, right? He didn't play great against the Panthers. And then he played then heading to the bye week, and he did. He played lights out. I have no complaints about how he looked against Pittsburgh. I thought he looked really good. A couple interceptions. That's just what Pittsburgh does. They're going to bring the house. I mean, this is another similar defense coming up, more polished at that. But Joe Burrow, when asked about his play without Jamar Chase and actually uttering the phrase, I am who I thought I was. That's stupid. That's dumb. You are who you thought you. So you thought you were really, really bad, not as bad, and then really, really good. Like, that's inconsistent. That's exactly why he's 7. That's why he's 18, 17, and 1 as a starter. I don't really care. I am who I thought I was. Give me a break. I am who I thought I was. You are who I thought you were. You're inconsistent. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. You're 18, 17, and 1. And that's 18, 17, and 1 is a quarterback in the National Football League. And by the way, a lot of teams would kill for 18, 17, and 1 from a starting quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But the last 3 games that he was asked about without Jamar Chase, that totally just it replicates who he is as a quarterback in the NFL. Very, very good at times, very, very bad at times, and sometimes right there in the middle. More highs than lows. He's not a bad quarterback. I'm not here arguing that. But don't say dumb things like I am who I thought I was, because you're always cocky coming off of a great performance. But where's that cockiness when you get punched upside the head by the Browns? When you don't play well against the Panthers? Come on. So Logan Ferris says, I don't really care. Okay, Cowherd. What does Colin Cowherd have to do with this? I have no clue why people always go to that. Like, this has nothing to do with Colin Cowherd. I don't even know what you mean by that. So elaborate, Mr. Ferris. I would love to know what you mean by that, because, yeah. By the way, don't get mad at what I'm saying. What I'm saying is wrong. You mean to tell me that if Baker Mayfield, when he was in Cleveland, had a good game and said, man, I'm exact, that's who I thought, I am what I thought I was, you guys would rip him for that. He has one good game for the first time in a month, and you guys are going to sit there and say, oh, man, he's so dreamy. Will Limmer says, my take on Joey B, he's just a boring guy from Athens, Ohio. Can't dress either. That's why Jamar Chase picks out his clothes. I don't know. Anyways, I do want to say this. The Bengals are heating up. I'm acknowledging that this has a lot of very similar vibes from last season. This is about the time of year where I was getting bored with the poking fun at the Bengals thing, because I just thought that's who they were. You know, I'm like, oh, the Bengals, they're just average. They're whatever. I think they're average right now. But then this is about the time of year where they flipped that switch and they went on that weird run last year. The problem is I don't see that run. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to replicate what they did last year. It is a gauntlet coming up. It is an absolute gauntlet coming up. I mean, it's really going to be difficult for the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 6-4 right now. By the way, you know, with the Patriots losing yesterday and the Jets all of a sudden starting to struggle, and, you know, I knew the AFC East wasn't going to be able to hold up. All right. I think the Dolphins are legit. I think the Dolphins are the best team, are going to end up being the best team in that division, because all of a sudden the Bills, they peaked early. That's the one thing, you know, if you think about some of the teams that are playing really good football right now, a lot of them weren't playing really good football to start. The Bills came out the absolute hottest team over anybody else, right? Now I don't feel confident about that team. I just watched my Browns team lose to the Bills, and I didn't think the Bills looked all that great. But good for them, because they found a way to win without Josh Allen playing his best. Josh Allen is beat up. They are getting banged up now. That, you know, all teams are injured right now. All teams are beat up. It's not an excuse. It just is what it is. But I think the Bills are slowing down. I think that they're showing a little vulnerability. You know, they had to work hard to beat the Lions yesterday. So with that being said, I think we're starting to see the teams that peaked early starting to kind of flatline or decline a little bit. And those teams that kind of been up and down to starting to get in a bit of a rhythm. And I think that one team to look out for, as much as it pains me to say, and I absolutely hate it, it is the Cincinnati Bengals. And I say the Cincinnati Bengals because, as much as I can't stand Joe Burrow, I'm acknowledging that he's a very good quarterback and he has all the makeup to be able to go on a run. He proved it last year. Who am I to say that he can't do it? He's already done it once. I do think it's going to be more difficult, though. You know, getting Jamar Chase back, if they do for sure get him back coming up this weekend, that is big. I think you know, when the news came out today that the Bengals would be without Joe Mixon, I think that news sounds more. I think that sounds like a bigger deal than what it actually is. I don't think that's as big a deal as what it sounds. And I think a lot of you Bengals fans will agree. Joe Mixon has been very, very bad all season, except for one game. He had one elite game, and everything else has been very, very bad. P. Ryan, it's a good opportunity for him to get involved. You know, I don't know what the plan of the offense is going to be moving forward. But the problem for the Bengals, no matter my gut saying, oh, man, this is around that time of last year where they started to flip that switch and go on that run. I think it's going to be very difficult. This isn't a hot take. This is common sense. Bengals fans, you could be confident and excited about the opportunity coming up, but they're moving up the rankings right now, or the standings, I should say, while other teams are dropping. The Patriots dropping. We're seeing the Jets drop. I think the Patriots and Jets ultimately end up on the outside looking in. I think that the Chargers and Bengals end up remaining in. I think the Chargers, though, running out of time. They got to find a way to get healthy, and they got to get some things rolling. But here's what's coming up for the Bengals. Okay, they're at Tennessee this weekend. Okay, and then they're at home against Kansas City. You know, I talked about teams that peaked early. The Chiefs, they peaked early, and they've remained hot. Like, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. It's not even close. He has just been absolutely fantastic this year. The Chiefs have been on top of it. Good for them. Good for him. But then they're against the Browns. You can mock the Browns all you want, but I think Bengals fans, and I say this nicely, you need to shut up when it comes to the Browns-Bengals matchup, because you all stink. Y'all suck when it comes to that matchup. You know, I saw some moron on the page earlier. I posted, I didn't even take a shot at the Bengals. I said, hey, they're going to be without Joe Mixon, but good news. It sounds like they're going to get Jamar Chase back ahead of the gauntlet that's coming up that is their schedule. And they had to put, oh, you can count the Browns as a bye week. Why? Why do you guys run your mouth about that? Of all things, you guys are so stupid. You don't even realize that in taking a shot at the Browns, you're just making yourself sound stupid because you're sounding so dumb because you're taking a shot at a team that you're trying to convince me is so bad, but yet you can't beat. You can't beat the Browns. No matter all the time, you guys take shots at the Browns all the time. The Browns are embarrassing. The Browns are this. The Browns is the Browns. The Browns is the team that whoops your ass every single season. What are you talking about? They just whooped your ass on Halloween. You're going to sit here and take shots at the Browns on a Bengals post that it had nothing to do with the Browns. I didn't even take a shot at the Bengals. Y'all had to start it, though. I'm a child. Y'all started. I'll finish it. I don't really care. Bottom line is, don't take shots at the Browns. Y'all can't beat the Browns. But you got the Titans coming up, the Chiefs, you got the Browns, you're at the Buccaneers, you're at New England, and I don't care if this isn't Tom Brady's New England Patriots team. There's just something about New England. You know, they're going to win some and lose some, but as long as Bill Belichick is there, I'm so tired of hearing that Bill Belichick is a bum coach without Tom Brady. It doesn't matter if I think he's the greatest coach of all time. Every coach is going to look better when you have a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or a Justin Herbert or, you need good quarterback. If you don't have a good quarterback, you're not winning football games. Period. You know what I mean? Like that's a dumb argument, but these Bill Belichick teams, they're very, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that the Bengals are going to lose, but it's not easy to confidently say, oh, my team's definitely going to win on the road at New England in the third to last week of the season. Then you got Buffalo, then you got the Ravens. Sorry. I'm not saying the Bengals aren't making the playoffs, but it's a very weird spot right now. I would be very hesitant to bet money on the Bengals making the playoffs. But to be fair to you guys, I also, if I had to bet money on them not making the playoffs, I don't know if I'm as much of a hater as y'all think. I don't actually think they're that bad. I wouldn't feel comfortable betting money that they missed the playoffs. But it's very difficult to bet money that they're going to make it as well. But it's such a tough stretch down this stretch. But ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, we just spent some time with him. I asked him about his thoughts on the Cincinnati Bengals. I said a year ago at this time, this is when they flipped that switch. Does he believe that they have another run left in them, especially with the Titans coming up this weekend? Here's what Jason Fitz had to say about the Bengals.
I think they can get hot. I don't know that the Titans are the right team to get hot against. And but the thing that impresses me when you watch the Titans, particularly over the last few weeks, there are two things that stand out. One, they can get after the quarterback from all over the place. And don't just look at their sack numbers. Look at their pressure numbers. Look at their disruptive numbers. Look at their pass rush win rate numbers. The Titans defense right now is playing lights out at getting hits on the quarterback over the last 3 weeks. So the Bengals are going to have really good pre-snap communication to figure out where that's coming from. The Titans are doing a great job of that.
I don't think he's wrong. Look, I think the fact that, by the way, you do need luck to get to a Super Bowl. I'm going to repeat some talking points here. Just bear with me. The Bengals were lucky to get to the Super Bowl last year, but let's be clear. So was the Rams. Whatever two teams make it to the Super Bowl this year, they're going to be lucky to get there. You need luck. So stop. Every time I say something, y'all have to get all caught up in your feelings. Okay. You don't need to go see Dr. Phil this weekend just because I say something you don't like about your Bengals. But the bottom line is they had a lot of luck last year that went in their favor. And the reason I think I disagree with Jason is because I'm starting to see a lot of luck play a role in the Bengals turnaround right now. Here's why. The Bengals got bit by the injury bug this year, but they got bit by the injury bug at the most opportune times, if there is such a thing. To be without Jamar Chase for 4 weeks, and the only games that you were without him were against Cleveland, against the Panthers, against the bye week, and against a bad Pittsburgh team. Like, come on. And now you're going to get him back just in time for the Titans. And then you will look at something else here happening, by the way. The Buffalo Bills lose Von Miller. How convenient. One of the tough teams on the back half of the schedule. All of a sudden, now they're without Von Miller. They're without one of their top defenders. The Bengals have to be, for as snake-bitten as they've been, I think they're a very lucky organization. All things considered from last year. I don't know what it is. It's Joe Burrow, whatever. But luck played a huge role in their run to the Super Bowl last year. They ran into what quarterbacks again? The only good quarterback they had to face was Patrick Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl. Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill. Really? That was your challenging quarterback? I mean, come on. When Tom Brady makes it to the Super Bowl this year, Bengals fans will mock it and say, oh, who do you have to play? Garoppolo? You had to play Dak Prescott? You had to play Jalen Hurts? You guys are going to mock the path to the Super Bowl for Tom Brady probably this year, but I don't see y'all doing the same thing to Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill. But even with running into Ryan Tannehill, who was just hot garbage last year, you got sacked 9 times. And you were lucky to come away with that win. It took a miraculous kick from Evan Munning McPherson, who I'm also a big fan of, by the way. You know, I'm just saying, luck plays a role. Luck's starting to play a role in the turnaround for the Bengals. The fact that you only missed Jamar Chase for 4 weeks, that included the Browns, the Panthers, a bye week, and a horrible Pittsburgh Steelers team, and you might get him back for Tennessee. Luck. Good for you guys. I'm jealous. I'm not jealous of your quarterback. I'm not jealous of the players on your team. I am jealous of the luck factor. The Browns have luck. It's just bad. The Bengals have luck, and it's good. Good for them. They got the Bills coming up here in a few weeks. They're going to probably be without Von Miller for the rest of the year. Who knows what's happening with that? The Bills, they're on the down, right? Like, good for you, Cincinnati. Good for you, Cincinnati. I'm jealous of you, but not for the reasons you think. Not jealous of you because of your quarterback or your players. I'm jealous of you because everything seems to go right for you. Good luck and all. When bad things happen, the bad things happen at the best time. Just saying. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Let's take a look at this. Oh, wow. The Dayton Flyers. I mean, this has just been a horrendous start to the season. And if they end up losing this, my goodness, look out. They had a lead of 27-9. They had their foot. I mean, they were ready to bury BYU. And now it's 56-52 with 7.5 minutes to go. BYU came out. They scored 24 points in the first half. They've scored 28 points in the first 12 minutes of the second half. And then the offense for Dayton disappearing once again. They've scored 16 points in 12 minutes. 40 points in the first half. I mean, their offense has completely collapsed here in half number 2. Deron Holmes only 2 points in the second half. There's a look. I talked about this coming in, that Deron Holmes has to be the guy. Obi Toppin was the guy for Dayton. Deron Holmes has to be the guy for 40 minutes every night, consistently, not in little mini runs. And you saw in the first half when Deron Holmes was the best player on the floor, Dayton couldn't be stopped. When he was unstoppable in that first half, Dayton couldn't be stopped. Not just him, but Dayton. When Obi Toppin couldn't be stopped, Dayton couldn't be stopped. Deron Holmes needs more of a killer in him, man. Like, he needs more of that. Like, I get it. Flyers fans, man, Anthony Grant just gets these swell human beings. I know Deron Holmes is a good dude, but I need a dog. I need him to be a dog out there. I need him to be mean. I need him to have a mean streak. I need him to want to rip people's faces off. 2 points in the second half of a must-win game with the at-large hopes on the brink of, like, they're going to be 3-4 if they don't get their stuff figured out here. Deron Holmes needs to be a killer. He needs to be a dog. He needs to be the guy. And someone else step up too. Because that's the other. This about Sherjobs right now, and I hope I'm saying that damn kid's name right, because I hear so many different pronunciations of that, so we'll just roll with that. But the fact that he's the second best player on the floor right now for Dayton, that's the problem. That's a problem. That's not a shot at Sherjobs, because he's really, really good. But a freshman a year ago at this time was playing high school basketball. And now, actually not even a year ago, folks, back in February, it's 2022, back in February, okay? Back in February, about 10 months ago, he was playing high school basketball. He was here in Dayton. He was playing at Vandalia Butler High School and the Top Gun Showcase. He was playing high school basketball. And now he's the second best player on the floor tonight in a must-win game for Dayton. They're at-large hopes, slipping through their fingers. 56-52, under 7 minutes to go. Dayton holding on to the lead. They still lead. Unacceptable, though, man. They got to get this stuff figured out. And they have 6.5 minutes to figure it out. We'll be right back. 518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show when we come back.
Black Friday is here at Menards, and we've got the perfect present for your loved ones. Stay cozy this winter with some great deals. Keep your feet warm with women's Muckluck boots for only $19.99. After a long day, relax in a heat and massage rocker recliner. It's only $299.99 after sale price and mail-in rebate. Hurry into Menards this Black Friday for more great deals. Doors open at 6 a.m. Black Friday. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks.
When there's no time to make food for your holiday party, carry out 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $34.99. Give the gift that always fits. A $25 Frickers gift card and get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. Let them get what they really want.
Okay, dads, it's time to do the Cabbage Patch, the Running Man, or something more contemporary, the Floss. That's right. Dance like a dad with your kids. Learn more at fatherhood.gov. Sponsored by Ad Council.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton. That brought you Pittsburgh.
Join me, Van Allen, on your road to superstardom. I'm moving to Germany, baby!
Woo! Comes a new Peacock original series.
German Unity Day. It's like the 4th of July meets a Super Bowl halftime show, except that we are way cooler about showing nipples here.
You didn't realize that I have the face of an angel and also the voice of an angel.
You have a face that is deserving of a slap.
Pitch Perfect, Bumper in Berlin. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Make the big game sound even bigger with your new TV and sound system from Audio Etc. There is nothing better than a home theater or high-fidelity music system from Audio Etc. 4K is amazing, but just imagine the 8K experience. Come to Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom today and experience 8K TVs and projectors, short throw projectors from 100-inch to 130-inch, all the way to your high-end dream system. Audio Etc. has tons of new inventory in stock, while everybody else is back-ordered or out of stock. Get special deals on a TV and your dream system today. Audio Etc. can bring any big game home. It's better than being there. You have to see it to believe the incredible quality of the picture and sound. If you can't afford your dream system, check out our huge selection of vintage and pre-owned components. Audio Etc. Powered by Klipsch, Bowers & Wilkins, SVS, Marantz, Denon, Sony, and a whole list of high-performance brands that you've probably never heard of. 551 Congress Park Drive in Centerville.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
When I got the news, I was shocked. I was scared. I was angry. When I heard it could be treated with the right care, I was relieved. I was happy. I was given a second chance.
Urology Specialists of Ohio offers men peace of mind. 5 physicians and 5 locations. Now accepting new patients. Make an appointment with a physician that cares about your health and prevention. Urology Specialists of Ohio, Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. Online at urologyspecialistsofohio.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
Black Friday is here at Menards, and we've got the perfect present for your loved ones. Relax your aching muscles with a new impact massager. Get it for a steal, only $19.99. Take your game to the next level with a new gaming chair. It's comfortable and only $59.99 after sale price and rebate. Hurry into Menards this Black Friday for more great deals. Doors open at 6 a.m. Black Friday. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. If you've been waiting to buy, now is the time. 2022 Honda Pilots with financing as low as 1.9%, 2022 Honda Passports and 2023 Ridgelines with financing as low as 2.9%, and all in stock for immediate delivery. We will save you money today. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35 just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek. The right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
November is an ideal month to plant trees in Ohio because the soil is still warm, which reduces the transplant stress. Plus, trees require less water in November than in the heat of the summer, allowing roots to grow in the cooler temperatures. When planting trees, keep these tips in mind. Select trees that are zone hardy for where you plan to plant. Avoid planting trees that produce slip hazards like fruits and nuts close to sidewalks. And don't plant large trees near or under utility lines. To learn more about the November tree planting, contact an ISA certified arborist near you by going to trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Give the gift of a Dayton tradition. Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps. Milano's gift cards are the perfect way to give good times and those favorite subs and pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
Give the gift of Cheesecake Factory. Get a $15 bonus card for every $50 gift card purchased at the Cheesecake Factory restaurants or at thecheesecakefactory.com through the end of the year.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Dayton leads at 62-57, 3:44 to go in the ball game. They led us by as much as 27-9 at one point, a double-digit 16-point lead at the half. Give BYU, no one needs to give BYU credit. Take credit away from Dayton for letting BYU come back into it, but to give Dayton credit because they've rallied around the injury, unfortunately, that just happened to Kobe Elvis, who did not look good. If you don't follow, if you're a Flyer fan, I'd be very surprised for those of you who are Flyer fans with Twitter who have not already followed David Jablonski. But go check out David Jablonski on Twitter. He has a video of what just happened with Elvis. And yeah, he springs up. He popped up. That's a severe injury. I'll be very surprised if it's anything less than the rest of the year. Maybe I'm being dramatic there, but that was not pretty what had happened. I'm hoping he's okay. As I say that, BYU cuts it to within 2 points. It's 62-60 now with about 3:08 to go. But nonetheless, what's interesting about watching this Dayton team is they're so freaking long on the defensive end of the floor. BYU has been able to creep into this because they're able to shoot the three ball. But, when you watch their guards dribble into the paint against Dayton, their bigs down low against Dayton. It's amazing to me that BYU is shooting as high of a percentage as they are in the second half. It's like watching you know what I mean? When you go to a high school basketball game and you watch the one team that's just significantly bigger than the other, and it's just a lot of uncomfortable dribbling and a lot of, the guards just look like they're freaking out every time they, dribble one way. That's BYU right now. But they're being patient. They're drawing in the defense. They're finding open shooters. They're down by 2, a one-possession game after trailing by 16 at the half and trailing by as much as 27-9 at one point. But that's what's unfortunate about this start for Dayton. They look the freaking part, man. At the defensive end, Kamara is long. Honestly, he has a longer guard, too. He has a long reach. It's insane. And Kamara and Deron Holmes on the floor at the same time, but they just don't have enough firepower offensively. For those watching live, I appreciate the updates that you're kind of giving me. As far as that goes, some guy on Facebook said now Kobe Elvis on the ground with the hurt knee. Josh Maloney said Elvis has left the building. That I'm assuming that was a joke, not making a joke about an injured player, but I see what you did there. But nonetheless, some guy said Flyers coughing up a solid double-digit lead down to 6 points with 9 minutes left. Obviously, this from some guy was just obviously moments ago before it's a lot further along now. And never put their foot on opponents' throats. Shake my head. Every time they have an opportunity to pull away, they're not able to go full throttle and pull away. But we'll keep you updated on this. So here's the deal. I'm going to talk about Reds baseball. Reds Fest coming up. A week from tomorrow, we'll be live at Reds Fest at the Duke Energy Convention Center. We'll be doing a special Reds Fest show. The Justin Kinner Show will be live on a Saturday. We'll have a Saturday edition of it. We'll be busy next weekend. We hopefully got the Big Ten championship game. I think Ohio State's going to take care of business against that team up north tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Buckeyes and Purdue. Purdue has more wins against Michigan in the last 22 years. I don't know if you know that or not, but I love sharing that anytime I get a chance to. But the Reds made some interesting headlines recently. You guys got to understand this thing with Reds Fest. This Reds Fest, when I go down there, I'm not allowed to ask these hard-pressing questions. I'm not allowed to be Mr. TMZ down there. I'm not allowed to sit with Phil and Bob Castellini and say, hey, guys, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? This is supposed to be like a cheerleader rah-rah type of event. I'm not bringing you behind the curtain. I'm not telling you anything that most of you who have brains aren't smart enough to figure out, that this type of event is supposed to be a rah-rah, cheer on the team type of moment. This isn't a grill the manager, grill the players, grill the owners, So with that being said, to give you an idea of what the purpose of this is supposed to be a fun event that is supposed to get the fans excited about Reds baseball. The problem is that there's 365 days in a year. And in one of the 365 days of the year, Reds Fest is supposed to be the one day that Reds fans just have to somehow forget that the team is crap and we're supposed to be excited about Reds baseball. Now, I'm doing a disservice to the Reds right now as a Reds affiliate, and I completely get that, and I'm admitting that live here on the air, but you guys are not dumb. My biggest goal when I took over doing this show years and years ago was I'm not going to talk to fans like they're dumb. I'm not going to, because I know before I was a sports talk radio show host, I would hear hosts, and I would hear them talk about teams. I'm like, they can't believe that, right? And I've always felt disrespected from show hosts who try to talk to me like I'm dumb and don't know really what's going on. Now, you may still think I'm dumb, and that's fine, but I don't want to do that to you guys. You guys know what Reds Fest is about. It's about going down. It's a great opportunity. I'll give the Reds this, though. The Reds Fest, it's what they do. No other team in baseball does anything like it. It is as up close and personal with the organization. Fans get a chance to talk to the players, meet the players. There's so many great, just different events and booths going on, question and answers. Marty Brenneman's going to be there. This is a big time thing. This is a big deal. As a Reds fan, I feel like because doing this job, Reds Fest will be ruined for me moving forward because when I'm done, I'm not going to view it the same as like a fan like I used to. This is such a cool experience. I am urging you guys to put your negativity aside. I was just very blunt and honest with you, so I'm trying to be real with you. You have to find a way to put your disdain for the ownership's decisions as of late aside, and you have to just go continue to be a Reds fan. I know that's easier said than done. I'm not doing this because they told me to. In fact, if I'm doing what they told me to, I would not have said some of the things that I just said, just to be clear, so that we're all kind of gaining some trust with one another. But I would really like to see some of y'all down at Reds Fest. I'm looking forward to going. I'm looking forward to having a chance to catch up with some of the players, especially in the farm system coming up. I feel bad for guys like that. This is the most exciting run of their lives. They are making their way up the ranks in the Reds organization. And instead of them getting to enjoy it and feel like they're about to be a part of something special, the more they get called up, the more that they hear the noise of this team is bad, this team is bad, this team is bad. The Reds fans now, by the way, it's not your fault. The ownership has forced you guys to seem and come across as a bad fan base. Oh, the Reds fan base. What a horrible fan base. They don't support the rebuild. They don't support the players. The players are out there busting their ass, and the players and the fans aren't supporting it. The fans are supporting it. They supported it last time and the time before that and the time before that and the time before that. The fans are doing what we are naturally, instinctually supposed to do. And that is eventually put our foot down and say enough is enough. Unfortunately, though, the owners never really catch the brunt of it. The players do. Ellie De La Cruz and a lot of the guys that we get to watch and support with the Dayton Dragons in the past and even, this past year and moving forward, we're fans of them. We support them. We support the Dragons. We go to every game, right? But then when they get called up to the main roster, we boo them. We say how bad their team is, right? Even though we're not talking directly about them, they feel it. And it stinks. I feel bad for them. This is supposed to be the most exciting and fun time of their lives, and instead they're met with fan backlash because of decisions that are totally out of their control. So I feel bad for those players. I really do. Because I want to be, I want the experience for those guys to feel like they are being supported through, even though we all know the elephant in the room is the horrible handling of this organization right now. Reds Fest a week from tomorrow. We're going to be there. Justin Kinner Show, Kev Nash, live from Reds Fest, Duke Energy Convention Center, 11-1. Martin Neal's going to be out there with us. He used to do the show Dayton Sports Scene here on 1410 Wing AM. I'm excited about that. Marty Brenneman's going to be there. I can't wait to catch up with him. David Bell, we'll see if he'll talk to me. But you know what I'm saying. So bottom line is, I need y'all to just understand, be aware, be prepared for what this event's about. And it's still okay to let the baseball fan in you go and have a good time. You don't have to chum it up with the owners of the Reds. But a lot of really cool stuff out there, and I highly suggest you go. We have a lot of tickets. We're going to be giving those away at Moeller. We're going to be giving those away tomorrow and throughout the weekend. I'll tell you more of how you can win those tickets here around the corner. But I want to talk about something that the Reds are doing that makes a ton of sense. And by the way, an update. The Dayton Flyers had given up the lead. It was 63-62. They take the lead right back, 64-63, but they foul Hall for BYU, who's now going to go to the free throw line with 1:16 to go. So we'll see. Anthony Grant is fired up, by the way. Coaches having to hold him back. He's been on these refs the last couple of days, man. Like, he's been on it. He's usually not very animated on the side, but he's been on it lately. Refocus here. So Reds Fest coming up. There was some news involving the Reds that came out recently that I thought was interesting. If y'all remember, Reds fans, I upset you guys last year because I had a take about the Reds that upset a lot of you. And that take was, of course, that Tyler Stevenson should not be the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Tyler Stevenson had 3 long-term stints on the IL last year because of injury sustained playing the most physical position in baseball, the catcher position. Injuries are part of all sports. I get that. But as I've said before, baseball is the most preventative measured sport out there. The entire sport is just dominated by analytics, and analytics are numbers that basically that they have looked at and studied and monitored, and they've let those numbers dictate every decision in life that they make. The entire shift is purposely placed because of, what are those called? The splash sheets. I forgot what they're called now. I'm probably butchering it now, but oh well, I'm not a baseball nerd, so excuse me. But when you it's just a chart that shows, oh man, look at every time they hit the ball. Look how many times it goes this direction. So we're going to, because it's going to increase the chances that we're in the exact spot where they are going to hit the ball towards us, right? It's all preventative measures, trying to prevent the ball from getting to the open spot in the field, blah, 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 blah. That's baseball. That's all sports, really. That's scouting. You're trying to, be, preventative measures, but baseball is the most preventative measured sport out there. So when the Cincinnati Reds, who let the calculator make every decision for them, from the lineup to the innings count, to pitching, to manage everything. They are so built and locked in on preventative measures when it comes to their decision-making in a game. But when it comes to preventative measures to protect one of their star young players, they're too stupid to make the right decision. Tyler Stevenson should not be the catcher of this baseball team. He is too good of a bat. A lot of times catchers are not your best hitter on a baseball team. And Tyler Stevenson may not be the best hitter. He's probably the second best hitter. He is a star. And we cannot continue to move forward with a team with such zero margin for error to continue to go with long stints on the IL because he keeps getting all 3 injuries occurred. A guy sliding into home plate, knocking him out, hurting his leg. You know what I mean? A guy sliding into home plate, he hurts his hand on the tag. Collision at home plate, out again. Like, we watched Tyler Stevenson continuously go out with long-term injuries last year, and they were all sustained, not at the plate as far as with the bat in his hand. He has to be used and utilized in a way that is going to prevent him from getting hurt and being on the field as much as possible. For a team that's going to lose close to 80 to 90 games again next year, maybe 100, depending on how bad this offseason is, it is very important that the Reds find a way to get him away from behind home plate. And that way is first base. Joey Votto, your work here is done, my friend. We appreciate you, but thank you. But the idea that you're going to continue to shove him behind home plate because, well, Joey Votto's our first baseman is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. So the Reds, some news broke over the weekend that they were taking a look at Tucker Barnhart. I love Tucker Barnhart. Tucker Barnhart hit .210 last year for the Tigers. He didn't have a great season. But you're not bringing in Tucker Barnhart. If the Reds do, in fact, get a deal done with Tucker Barnhart, Reds fans, by the way, on my Facebook page, it's probably the most positive Reds post I've had in a while. Everyone loved it. Bring Tucker Barnhart back. Bring Tucker Barnhart back. Bring Tucker Barnhart back. You bring Tucker Barnhart back because it makes sense. You bring him back to be your number 1 catcher. You move Tyler Stevenson to first base, and you let Joey Votto play his final days in his 80s as the DH. And you can be flexible with it. Maybe you platoon the 2 and heavily platoon them. Do not give the majority of the starts to Tyler Stevenson. The DH was put into baseball. Everyone out there who hates the DH is a magnificent tool for these managers to utilize to protect their star players, to keep them off the field as much as you can for sometimes so that they only have to go make plays with the bat in their hand. I'm a big fan of this idea of bringing in Tucker Barnhart, heavily platooning the catcher position between them, and then balancing it with the DH, or Tucker Barnhart's catcher number 1. Tyler Stevenson's your everyday first baseman, and Joey Votto can float between first base and DH and yada, yada. Joey Votto does not need to be in this lineup every single day. Your work here is done, my friend. You've done everything you've been asked to do. You've been loyal to a fault, not allowing the Reds to trade you, all that fun stuff. Like, at the end of the day, this is something that I think the Reds need to do. But I also know what the Reds are doing as well. I brought up all of that stuff about Reds Fest because I wanted y'all to understand that Reds Fest is a cheerleader event. It's about getting you to be excited. And I don't know if the Reds are going to get this deal done with Tucker Barnhart or not, but he is a fan favorite and he will be cheap. And he checks off every box that the Reds need right now. They're going to bring in a guy that's going to get the fans excited, so there's positive mojo heading into the week of Reds Fest. They're going to sign him. He's not going to be very expensive, and it checks off a lot of boxes, and then they'll go back to not making moves the rest of the offseason. Who knows? But 518-1410, 518-1410. Thoughts on Tucker Barnhart in a Reds jersey, in a Reds uniform, back in Cincinnati. Tyler Stevenson to first base. Joey Votto to the DH. Tyler Stevenson is too good to have multiple stints on the IL because he plays the most physical position in baseball. It's the most preventative measured sport out there. It's the most preventative measured sport out there. But yet the Reds will take zero preventative measures of protecting their best player. I think that's silly. I'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Dancing crew, trip for two, nail the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kids, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
I'm Dr. Stork. Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. With 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way we care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks.
When there's no time to make food for your holiday party, carry out 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $34.99. Give the gift that always fits a $25 Frickers gift card and get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. Let them get what they really want.
A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change their world, and it will change your own. Unbound.org.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You know, at a certain point, you just got to start to feel bad because I talked a little bit ago about the Cincinnati Bengals who so many bad things have happened at the right time, if that makes sense. Like if you're going to lose Jamar Chase, you would rather lose him at a time that you're about to embark. Like if you're going to lose him for 4 games or 4 weeks, you'd rather lose him on a stretch where you're about to run into the Browns, the Panthers, a bye week, and a horrible Steelers team, right? I talked about the luck of the Bengals where even when bad things happen to them, they happen at the most opportune times. Last year, a lot of good luck things happened for the Bengals to get to the Super Bowl. I know some of y'all think that it's a shot, but you need good luck to get to the Super Bowl. Whoever wins it this year, they need good luck. The Rams needed good luck last year to hold off Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, who came back and nearly won that thing, right? Like, let's just be real. But then there's teams like Dayton. And I think that, Dayton, if any, I mean, everything, the hype, the talk, the build to the season, everything that can go wrong for this team has gone wrong. Everything that can go wrong for this team has gone wrong. Malachi Smith down on the floor right now, tied at 64. 3.7 seconds left, at least as I'm sitting here on my phone right now. Maybe for some of you out there, this game's a little bit further along. Kobe Elvis is out. Elvis is out, and that looks significant. Could be out for the rest of the year. Again, I haven't talked to him. I have no inside information. You just watch the scene of his leg, not just buckling, but popping. I mean, he springed off the air and went right down holding that. And now Malachi Smith has been down on the floor for quite some time. I mean, this is just and then I haven't even got to the point now. Deron Holmes is supposed to be your best player, and he has like zero strength. He has the strength of a middle schooler. He can't back down anybody. I've never seen anything like it. He's too dang good of a player. He backed the defender down and got just chested out back out to the perimeter. They're trying to get him the ball in the block. He couldn't get the ball in the block. Had it tipped away about 2 or 3 times. Finally got it tipped away. He turned it over. Your best player in a must-win game like this, you can't turn the ball over like that. Some guys said Malachi just got carried off, done for the year as far as I'm concerned. 64 all, 3.7 seconds. Both teams coming out of a timeout. Some guy also says, Jesus, this game went from looking like a walk in the park in the second half to a total blank show. Unbelievable. I'm watching along on my phone. I feel like without the vibe of the guy, I can't get a true feel, but it's unfortunate. Some guy you're watching now, you said, oh my God, I just saw the replay. He may have broke his ankle. Question for those watching and chiming in, which, by the way, the fact that you guys are watching and hanging out with me today, thank you. Appreciate that. Was that the ankle he had already hurt? Some guy, give me an update on that. I can't remember if it was the right or the left ankle that he had on a boot coming into the year. But it's BYU basketball, 3.7 seconds. They're bringing the ball up the floor. This might go to overtime. We'll see what happens. The ball is up in the air. We're going to go into overtime. Unreal. We have about 10 minutes left. I don't think the game's going to end before we're done here. But this is just not good. Going to overtime. Kamara fouled out. Is that what happened as well? Again, I'm just following along as you guys kind of send in some stuff, but it's 64 all. So let me pull up some of this to kind of keep an eye on what's going on. But as far as fouls are concerned, Kamara fouled out. He fouled out with 8 points. Deron Holmes, 18 points. He had 3 block shots, 8 rebounds. He has 18 points. Folks, he had 16 of those in the first half. He disappeared in the second half. And he got the ball in the block. The only reason BYU had an opportunity to get that shot off is because he turned it over. Dayton should have had that final shot. That's unfortunate. Deron Holmes can't turn that over. You're supposed to be this team's best player. This is supposed to be the final year of Deron Holmes because he's supposed to be going to the NBA. You can't turn that ball over there. Your team needs you, especially because of the fact that you have everyone going dropping like flies. You had Kamara foul out. Kobe Elvis has been taken out. You don't have Brea. Brea's, did not make the trip. And now, unfortunately, Malachi Smith is out. Cher Jomps, the freshman, 12 points. They're going to have to rely on him a lot. Amzil's going to have to step up. Blakeney, this is just a very unfortunate sequence of events. That's for sure. All right. Keep you updated on that. We have about less than, 9 minutes to go. But I'll keep, Reds Fest coming up a week from tomorrow. We'll get back into that Tucker Barnhart conversation more so next week. But with Ohio State and Michigan, that kicking off tomorrow, I'll get to that in a moment. Ron wants to know, because Ron is a big a Buccaneers fan. He wants to know my thoughts on the Browns and the Bucks. I'm going to tell you what I think about the Browns and the Bucks. The Browns, a 3.5-point dog at home. I'm going to say this, not as a Browns homer. It would not surprise me one damn bit for the Browns to win this football game on Sunday. I don't think that they will, but it would not surprise me if they do. It also would not surprise me to see Tampa just absolutely shellac them. I actually thought that with the, because Deshaun Watson, this is the last Sunday. This is the last week of the starting quarterback for the Browns being Jacoby Brissett. Now, I'm not being funny here, but I do think that there's going to be some weird stuff that happens next week. There could be more accusations coming his way. I think timing is everything. I think that, he has to be guilty of some of these, right? There's just no way. You can't have that many accusations and not be guilty of any of them, right? That's not for me to decide. But I do know with the volume of accusations that came against him, don't be surprised. When was it when he was first allowed back to start practicing a couple weeks ago? It was quiet with Deshaun Watson. That very same week that he was allowed to start practicing with the team, more noise came around him. I'm not defending him. I'm not saying that these women lied. I'm not saying anything at all. I'm also not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying, look at the pattern here. I don't know if it's going to be a smooth transition into Deshaun Watson. He's supposed to start a week from Sunday against the Texans. But man, I feel like there's been an ace up the sleeve of the defense attorney and some of the other, the opposing side. And I just wonder if there's more stuff that's going to drop on the Browns and Deshaun Watson. And I think there's been stuff that they've been sitting on. I don't know this, haven't heard this. I feel like it's not going to be a quiet transition to him being the starting quarterback of the Browns next week, but who knows? But I thought that the Browns would have played harder knowing he's coming back. And I feel like because as we got closer to him coming back, like after that win against the Bengals, the Browns have just looked god-awful since then. It's almost as if they said, all right, he's almost here. Let's just get through the next couple of weeks. Rather than being motivated to play these last couple of weeks, it's almost as if they just use these last couple of weeks to get through. I don't know, man. Like that, this Browns team, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. Kevin Stefanski, taken me a while to jump off of the Kevin Stefanski fan train, but I'm not a Kevin Stefanski guy. I watch a guy like Brian Daboll who takes over a Giants team that has a bum quarterback, no quarterback, not a lot of weapons, and yet they have a very efficient offense. I know they lost to the Cowboys yesterday, but the bottom line is, even with a bum quarterback and no weapons outside of a run game, what they do is they run the snot out of the football. Jason Fitz just hung out with us earlier, talked about the Titans. The Titans, the Browns should be the Titans. The Tennessee Titans are the Cleveland Browns, just a well-coached version of the Browns. Jason Fitz brought it up earlier. Every team that goes up against the Titans, and Bengals fans, you guys will see this on Sunday. It's going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. Zach Taylor, Amarillo, all those guys, they know it's going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. And they're still going to hand it off to Derrick Henry, and he's still going to do a lot, and he's going to run for a lot against the Bengals because they just stick to who they are. Every team should know that Nick Chubb is going to get all the carries, and he's just going to run the ball down their throat. 11 carries the last time. You gotta be kidding me. You know what I mean? The Browns are poorly coached. I don't think Kevin Stefanski is the worst coach in the NFL, but he's definitely not close to being the best. Not even top 5, not top 10, not top 15. I think he's a bottom 10 coach in the NFL. I think he did a good job when he was needed most. He did what he was needed to do at the time when they had Baker Mayfield, but they have too many weapons. Amari Cooper. Then I've heard people try to flip it. Amari Cooper is fourth in touchdowns on the season. He's very efficient. Jacoby Brissett is sixth in QBR in the NFL. He is the highest QBR in the AFC North. That's insane to me. Right? They've got Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the NFL. The Browns still have a very strong run game. He's still top 3 as far as top 3 running backs in the NFL statistically. Bottom line is that this is a situation where the numbers, you can make them sing and dance. I miss Mark Schlemmer like you wouldn't believe. And that's the one thing he said on this show constantly. You can always make numbers sing and dance. Well, I'm making the numbers sing and dance. Stefanski's done a great job, right? Top 6 QBR quarterback, top 6 in QBR, top 3 running back in terms of yards and total yards and touchdowns on the season. You have a wide receiver, 6 most touchdowns on the season in Amari Cooper. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a breakout year, right? Man, Kevin Stefanski's awesome. Kevin Stefanski, maybe why some of these guys have had efficient runs so far, but every day that he lets Joe Woods come into that office employed, he's doing a disservice to this team. I blame Stefanski. Everyone says you got to blame Joe Woods for the defense. No, I blame Kevin Stefanski because he's the guy in charge. Mary Kay Cabot put out a tweet earlier in the week. She specifically said that he has the power to fire him. He has the power to fire anybody he wants, and he chooses not to. It's not like some teams where the coach, there are some teams where the coach doesn't have the power to make that decision. It has to come down from the general manager or ownership. Now, again, I don't know how true that is, but Mary Kay Cabot tweeted it out that he has the power to fire whoever he wants, and he chooses not to. So by choosing to continue to let people show up to work and doing a crap job, he is responsible for why this team is 3-7. They do not deserve to beat the Buccaneers on Sunday. There's something weird about this. I feel like they're going to get this, knowing the way the NFL works, the Browns are going to get this win on Sunday. They're a 3.5-point dog at home. I think they get the win on Sunday. And then they take this momentum into the storyline of getting Deshaun Watson back. And then Deshaun and Cleveland, they beat Houston. Now they've won back-to-back games, and now everyone's paying attention to Cleveland. And the only reason I have a problem with that is because it saves Stefanski and it saves Joe Woods. And I don't want that. I don't want that at all. All right, 3 minutes left. Ohio State, that team up north. Ohio State has absolutely dominated this rivalry. The only mistake that I made earlier in the week was saying that this wasn't a rivalry. That was a total wrong phrasing on my part. Ohio State, Michigan. That's a stupid thing to say. It's not of course it's a rivalry. I do not think it's the greatest rivalry of all time. It's not a greatest rivalry of all time because I think Michigan is a very average program. It's not the program that they think it make it out to be. I think Michigan, they use Ohio State to stay relevant. Michigan uses Ohio State to stay relevant. And how? Well, it's framed as the greatest rivalry of all time. Ohio State, Michigan. Except Ohio State, they've won 11 Big Ten championships. They've been to 5 national championships. They've won 2 national championships in the last 10 years, right? They dominate in recruiting. They've beat Michigan 17 times. They absolutely own that team up north. It's not even close. Ohio State deserves to be viewed as one of the top most elite programs in the country. Michigan doesn't, but because Michigan likes to ride the coattails of Ohio State, they get a lot more attention than what they deserve. So as a Buckeye fan, I hate that. I hate that Michigan uses Ohio State to stay relevant. Ohio State should just disown them, put them at an arm's length away. Say we respect the rivalry. Well, we respect it so much that we don't want to allow you to continue disrespecting at Michigan by being as embarrassing as you've been. I know they're coming off of a win last year. They're not getting the win tomorrow. They're not getting that win tomorrow. Ohio State's going to run the dang ball down their throat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the freshman. It doesn't matter if it's Mayan Williams. It doesn't matter if it's Trevion Henderson. Maybe C.J. Stroud decides he wants to run the football too. I don't care. Jackson Smith-Njigba, no Jackson Smith-Njigba. I don't care. Michigan, this is the difference. This is what I'm talking about. They lose their top running back. They have no answers. Their quarterback is supposed to be the savior. He's crap. He's no good. He can't throw the football. Ohio State, they're without Jackson Smith-Njigba. We made stars out of Mbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Stover stepped up. They have weapons galore. You can't stop them. Michigan loses their top player, and oh my God, they don't even think they can win the football game this weekend. Ohio State loses Trevion Henderson. Okay, insert Mayan Williams. Oh, you lose Mayan Williams. Oh, here's Hayden. Now, the bottom line is Ohio State. The storylines that we're talking about, all the elite players that they've been without, and they just plug and chug and keep on moving. That's why they're the Buckeyes. And Michigan complaining because they're going to be without their star running back. That's why they're Michigan. And I'm tired of them riding the coattails of Ohio State. I can't wait for tomorrow. I think that tomorrow, the fact that Michigan is 11-0, the fact that they are undefeated, the fact that they think they have a shot to make the playoff, the fact that they think they're worthy of it after playing that embarrassingly bad non-con, I'm sorry. They shouldn't be rewarded for playing Colorado and Hawaii. Colorado State and Hawaii. Nope. Sorry. Ohio State wins by double digits tomorrow. We're going to be live at Submarine House tomorrow for the Buckeye pregame show. Come on out. It is the spot to watch the Buckeyes all season long. Ohio State, Michigan, the game right here on Dayton's radio home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I cannot wait. Shout out to Bobby Carpenter, former Buckeye. He hopped on and shared his thoughts and experiences playing in the game and covering the game all these years. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He works very closely with ESPN and the college football playoff coverage. He does all their digital shows. He does Rankings Reaction. And he just texted me a little bit ago to say that, hey, he's going to be making an announcement about a new show coming up. And he's still going to be a part of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, which is pretty cool. But I love this time of year. I love this matchup, and I love that it actually means something for Ohio State at least. All right, folks, have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care. Until next week, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Buckeye pregame show tomorrow, starting at 10:30 at the Submarine House in Kettering. We expect to see you there. Go Bucks.
solid and cradle. Let them through that line. We have to win this game today. Up high, smash through to victory.